Twitch now?
Hi. No, nobody heard you say anus. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Look at this cool little
I
setup
said
I've got.
I said penis, not anus, for anyone who's listening.
I heard
Anyway,
anus. It really says a lot
well,
about
we hear what
people.
we
It's
want to
like
hear
it's like a
sometimes.
it's like a Yanny Laurel situation. Some people hear anus, some people hear
This
penis.
this really says a lot about our society if you think about it.
Um, if audio levels are weird, can you guys let me know? Per usual. If he's too silent,
And
if I'm too loud, if everything is shit.
and like if we're too loud, suck it up. I guess, right? Yeah. How's it going, everybody? We only have 8 people, and I'm assuming 2 of those are Jay and I at the moment in the stream. That's okay. We're just doing a recap of the draft today from last week. Uh, a week to the day at this point, so it's almost like we planned it, except for it definitely isn't.
And I'm in the stream manager, so I don't think my view counts.
Oh, a whole 7 viewers.
You might see the Bulbasaur on the screen stop dancing every now and again. That's because I'm tabbed out. Um Unfortunately I can't keep him dancing forever. Maybe I can keep him dancing forever. Wait, yeah I can. What am I talking about?
It's Bulbasaur's eternal curse. We will make him
Nope.
dance forever.
Nope, he has to. Nope.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Well, he has
Oh.
government mandated breaks every few minutes where he's allowed to stop dancing. That's the government getting involved. That's not us. I'm sorry.
But I have a little stream thing going on here. Like a new sort of stream setup thing, which is just a clusterfuck of different windows. But it's cool because now we have all this information in front of us. I have Lemon's horizontal draft thing up, which I ended up just uh, that was the only sheet that I used because it's so amazing, and it's like so
Yeah, it's a
easy and
great
fun to look
diagram.
at, and also it's really compact, so I can fit it onto the screen with everything else.
Yeah, thank you, Lemon. That was a very good way of doing that and made it very easy to reference during the whole draft. Especially since it took the better part of a week and we really needed like a comprehensive, really quick thing to reference.
Yeah, you were on top with that one. But yeah, we're here mainly because I wanted Nick to come on mic and talk about the draft with me, and we did this last time where we kind of like looked over everything that we did in the draft and like sort of looked over. I think last time we had season one's schedule out by this point, but we're gonna probably take another week to do that or so, and we can because we don't have we don't have battles for a little while, so yeah.
Yeah, we won't be getting started until at least a little bit into January, just to make room for the holidays for everyone. People will probably be traveling. We don't want to try to clog everyone's schedules up with weekly battles just yet.
But if you want weekly battles, this is a good segue. Good segue. If you want weekly battles this December, I'm running a monotype tournament between people, and the thing that's really cool about it is that a lot of the people who did not really have this capabilities with their schedule to join season two and keep up with that sort of deal, they joined the tournament. So we have Becca in the tournament. We have Eric in the tournament. Who else? I think we have some. Oh, Tree. We have Tree in the tournament as well. So there's a couple faces there that are not in the league, and that's really fun. But yeah, actually, yeah. Speaking of the tournament, though, I did say that I was going to have more information on the tournament, and I wanted to actually roll for people's types in the tournament because there's a chunk of people who they do not have a type yet. They said surprise me, and so that's what we're doing. We're gonna go ahead and roll for their typing, and also we're gonna reveal who everyone's typing is in the tournament that didn't do a surprise me and were able to get a typing. So I'm gonna do that real quick. We're gonna make Bulbasaur dance, but we're gonna go into our wheel screen, and we're
Make
gonna go
Bulbasaur
into
dance for our
here.
amusement.
So these are the people who have definite typings. These are the people who are they have types already, so they're in the tournament and they have types, so that's kind of fun. And we're gonna go ahead and give some people typing that do not have types yet. Who said surprise me? I'm actually gonna bring up the thing real quick. Let me see if I can get this to a more neutral screen while I go ahead and do that. Music might play for like half a second, but just I'm sorry. All right, that should be good now. Yeah, I just wanted to get ourselves to a neutral screen while I go ahead and bring something else up here in a GIF so that I can actually go ahead and get these names. But how are you doing today, Nick? Entertain the audience while I do this.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to take a look at the general league drafts for the from the past week. I'm interested to see how we're gonna break it down by division. If we're just gonna like alternate between people for each division or do one at a time. It might take a little longer than I think we're expecting, just because we have what 20 competitors now instead of 10 from last time. Or not
Yep.
10, but whatever the
18.
number was.
So we have 2 extras. So we have an extra battle.
Yes. And we have a total of 12 picks instead of 10 from last time. So
Alright, so it
a
was
little bit bigger season this time.
Petra, who surprised me. It is, not her, not him. It is Eric who is a surprise me. Let me get rid of this Minecraft seed that I have on my notepad. There's a lot of Eric's. I should have prepared this list earlier, but there were a lot of lists I needed to prepare. Let's see, Nick, you were not. Sock. Alright, Lemon was a surprise me. Reno ended up being a surprise me because his thing was taken already, and he was like, okay, just surprise me then. Is this guy a surprise me? Let's see. Let's see. No, I don't think so. Let me bring up this real quick. No, he was not. Alright, so I'm not gonna add him to the list. Nope. Or yep, that's... Rit said surprise me so long as it isn't Fairy. I was like, Fairy's awesome. And Becca's a surprise me. So I think those are it. Let me check the other ones. Oh no, OBW just joined, or had joined. Okay. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. How many types do we have left though? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and roll for this, which thankfully I do have a wheel. So these are the 8 types that we're going to roll for to see what the remaining monotype people are. So first up, we're going to be rolling for Petra. And she will get... This is prime content. She will get ground, so Petra will be training ground types for the monotype tournament. I'm going to remove that. Now we're going to do Eric, so we're going to see what Eric gets. Oh, so close to steal. Eric will get fighting. I like how there's like a screaming crowd and one guy who just goes like, wow! Every single time I spin this. All right, next is going to be Lemon. And Lemon will get, Rock. So it was between Bug and Rock. Both not really the best defensive types, but there's some good Pokemon in Rock. Alright, so
we're counting down the types here, giving them out one at a time. I'm just waiting until we have like 2 left, and it's basically a coin flip, but we have to spin the wheel anyway, because I think that'll be very funny.
Yeah. Alright, so next is Reno. And Reno will get Steel, so that's a huge one. It's a great type to have. Surprised it wasn't picked initially. Alright, so next will be Ripped. And by the way, I'm doing these in order of when they signed up. It's like the first come, first serve that I sort of abided by it to begin with. So Ripped will get... Ghost.
Spooky.
Yeah, very spooky. It's not fairy. It's like kind of like a metal fairy, if you really think about it.
Explain.
unless you include steel. Anyway, next,
Explain
like metal,
yourself.
like metal, like instead of metal, like
What?
like sheen. Like metal isn't like badass. It's
Hey,
like
gang.
dark, like a dark
Ghost
fairy.
is like a metal fairy, you know? You can all agree with that. You
Yeah,
all understand.
I don't see why you have to bring it up to them. All right, so Becca will be.
It's a Google Chrome logo.
It is. Becca will be electric, so that means that our coin toss is between bug and fire, which is kind of fun. Kind of opposite sides of everything. So we're gonna see what Obi gets. Obi will get fire. So, hell yeah. Alright, so Bug does not get picked, sadly. I would really like to have seen a Bug user just ruin everything and fuck people up.
We had one more person for Bug, and then you could just roll the wheel with one thing on it. And we could make like a big show of pretending like it was a confusing toss-up.
Alright, well, there is our list of competitors. Let me make sure I have the amount that actually signed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so 17. Just making sure I wasn't forgetting anybody. Alright, well, let's go back to the main, and we're going to actually talk about the draft now. What happened to my thing? One of my dumb things went away. Hold up, I need to get the draft sheet back up. Un momento. Un momento. I gotta get the draft sheet up. That's not the draft sheet. Let me see. Battle. I'm completely blanking right now. Where is this draft sheet? I'm gonna have to bring it up, I think, right here, because OBS is being really, really dumb and not giving me the option. So, don't love this. The thing is, like, I can't, like, change this while actually having it on another screen, too. Oh, yeah, I can. Maybe I can. Actually, yeah, hold up. I got an idea. Just kidding.
Hey guys, while Jay is dealing with these technical difficulties, how do you all feel about your drafts this season? Obviously, for some of you, it's the first season coming into this, and it was a little different from the last time around. So just gauging how everybody kind of felt about this draft this time around. We included the tiers this time to kind of fit the format of a lot of other draft leagues, and we are just looking into ways to fine-tune it every time we go into this. So, just curious to hear how you guys feel about how this went.
This is actually... I fucking hate OBS. I fucking hate OBS. I mean, yeah, what did you guys think?
The division between more experienced players and the less experienced players, I think, helped a lot, in my opinion, for drafting, because I think it made the draft a lot more competitive for people who are more experienced with this kind. And then for the newer people or for the less experienced players, everybody kind of still had their shot at really good things and being able to make comprehensive teams. So I thought it was interesting how not only did the difficulty division, it'll affect our battles to come, but the drafting itself, kind of every aspect of the league, which I appreciate.
I saved it. It's fucking saved.
Seeing Styx and Petra sound off about it, like how they went. Yep, Ghost sniped you a bunch. Yeah, that is how it goes. Getting sniped in and cucked in the draft order, it's just it's the best part if you think about it, really.
I saved it, Nick. I did it.
You saved it. I'm proud of you, Jay.
Thank you. It's a lot of stress.
Yes, Sleepy, you can use all 12 of them in one battle. However, immediately after, we will disqualify you from the league. So you can do it once.
So how do you think we should go about this? Just go round by round for each division? Or see which ones stick out? Or you just want to kind of vibe?
why don't we take it? Let's just make it easy, left to right, top to bottom sort of deal. Let's go
Yeah, remember?
player by player in Division One, and we can kind of
Oh yeah.
discuss
Ooh.
their standout picks and like how their team members mesh together. Because obviously some people made some pretty common sense like coordinated teams. Some people made some more unorthodox picks. Just like looking at those kinds of patterns, I think will be pretty fun.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and go one by one then. So let's, I guess, talk about the... God, they can see, like... Kind of ruins the illusion when they can see me typing in the, the link.
See your search history. Oh no, Jay, quick, cover it up.
It's
Cover it
it's
up.
okay because it's my Smoggin search history, so the worst they'll see is just other Pokemon, but I still don't appreciate it being shown there.
Jay, why did you Google Megalopony 20 times in a row?
It was strategy.
Anyway,
She was one of my Pokemon.
of course.
She was one of my Pokemon.
So first up on the Division One order, we have Clipper. Got the first round draft, which is always powerful. We've got the Tier One pick, the first pick of Division One, like of our whole draft going on here, ended up being Cinderace. I think Jay mentioned it during the draft itself that Cinderace was looked at for a ban, but eventually we decided it's not too centralizing in what it can do. The Libero ability that allows it to change type just kind of on the fly is pretty strong. But if you look at its attack and speed there, they're high, but not stupid high, right? It doesn't have crazy bulk to survive hits, it really shouldn't. And it can hit hard, but it really gets that power from kind of stab from whatever it wants. And that's not too crazy, especially when you consider Greninja's also still in the mix, and it's faster and technically stronger in certain aspects.
Yeah, I think like half the reason I just wanted it gone was because it was too strong for me, and I'm stupid baby brain. But it's a fun Pokemon. So I can see why it was picked first, 100%, and that ability, like you said, is fantastic. So it's kind of scary, but that's what you would expect from a first overall. So hell yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a strong Pokemon to pick round one as well, because with Cinderace having that ability to change types, it means no matter what happens down the line, since Clipper is going to draft last on the second round, which means there's like 20 picks before him or whatever, then you don't really know what's coming or what's going to be available in those high tier draft slots. So it being able to like change types means it can kind of fit any team, which is a really smart round one pick. But if we look at the rest of Clippers' team, a lot of great balanced picks and a lot of great like versatile usage of type. Um, you can see immediately Tapu Bulu, Kamao, Primarina, and Bisharp, which are all really strong, even in like their respective tiers. Um, Personally, I think on the round that Clipper picked Primarina and Bisharp, I was literally planning to pick the same two when it got around to me the next time. And both of them got sniped right there. And I was like, well, gotta respect the hustle, right? Like, they're two great Pokemon that protect each other's weaknesses super well. And I think a lot of Clippers picks kind of fit that motif where they picked really well in the sense that they had to pick two each time and then wait the entire like draft run all the way around. So you kind of have to pick like pairs that work together and work your way through like that kind of strategy. I think they did a really good job of that.
I think also something that I found that was really interesting in a lot of strategies when it comes to drafting is that like with this tier system, definitely if you're one of the last people to still have somebody from a tier left, you have more incentive to kind of like take a risk and maybe go for something that might be weaker than a Pokemon that you want, because there's not as much competition on like a tier 2 if everyone has picked their tier 2 Pokemon. So that was something I saw that was really cool. But yeah, like when you look at
Yeah,
something like
definitely.
Bisharp, you look at amazing abilities like Defiant, which is like, as I can pull up on the screen because it's Smoggin. It raises its attack by 2 for each stat that is lowered by a foe. So that's huge. It's massive, and that led to a lot
Yeah.
of like sweep potential from Tree. Like Tree had some great moments with this Bisharp in season 1, and it's just I'm excited to see how Clipper does it.
Not to mention Bisharp's just strong on its own, even without the Defiant boost. Dark Steel is a very powerful offensive pairing. and that 125 base attack is pretty respectable all the way around. And then, of course, yeah, like you're saying, Defiant is crazy. If you get hit with Defog or Intimidate, immediately you get an insane attack boost, which means pretty conventional utility that most teams will like find somewhere. Bisharp is a great counter, or at least a great way to punish using those utilities.
Yeah, and like I think like a big part of this draft also is looking at the bottom of the draft and seeing how people have utilized the tier 5s and the tier 4s that are existing to kind of try to probe for hidden gems. And I wanted to point at Cradily, which I've actually seen a lot of as of late because of its new access. What is the there's a new rock move, I believe, that will give it a huge boost. Oh, it's like a 2-turn move, but you can make it so that I can use it in 1 turn. I saw a video on it once, and it like
Meteor Beam.
yeah, I saw a video on it once, and it really opened my eyes
Yeah.
to like the usefulness of Cradily because its typing is so interesting, and yeah, I think it's just
Yeah,
an interesting pick for him.
that's definitely an interesting pick. It's kind of the niche utility that like you'd probably see coming after the first time it gets used. Because the problem with Meteor Beam is it's like Solar Beam in the fact that it takes a turn to charge and then it fires on the second one. But you do get that special attack boost, even though you can't like speed it up with Sunny Day or whatever. But if you have a white herb, you can, or a power herb, I forget which one it is, you can shoot right past that charging stage and fire it immediately, which kind of does shore up Cradley's lackluster special attack and speed in favor of that like boosted attack up front. Yeah.
It just gives it a lot of even if it is predictable, it definitely gives it a lot of attacking prowess that it did not have access to in earlier generations. So I want to see it used. I think it's a cool designed Pokemon with its dildo main, but it's
Okay. Well,
it's
you
very
did
very
say that,
good.
didn't you?
I mean, it is true. Look at it. All right, what's
You're
some other
not wrong.
Pokemon in here? I saw Barraskewda on Tara's team late, and I'm pretty sure it was pretty flawless for those late games that Tara played in Season 1.
Barraskewda is an interesting pick. It's extremely fast, and it gets access to one of the newer water-type moves, Flip Turn, which is like Volt Switch or U-Turn, but water-type, obviously. So very useful, obviously, and then taking it away from Fetch, who's building sort of a rain team, as we'll see down the line. Also pretty effective just in terms of drafting strategy as it gets Swift Swim. It would be pretty crazy with its base speed under rain already, so... a solid pick for what is kind of a slower team outside of Cinderace, giving it another teammate to work off of that has that high base speed to rely on. A good, smart pick, especially so far down the line.
And this is something that's also cool about how the draft has changed this year because we have 2 extra Pokemon in every single team, and what that does is give you it sort of frees up your need to sort of have to go for immediate type coverage. Like maybe there's another water Pokemon, like Primarina was Clipper's first water Pokemon, and then he was like, I have this water Pokemon that I also want to look at, Barraskewda, as like a little bit of a dark horse in the back end of the draft, and so he was able to do that because we have 12 Pokemon now to work with.
Definitely.
All right, let's look through anything else we want to look at here. I know Latias Mega is a pretty good pool for Clipper
Latios
here.
Mega is pretty solid. I know you had Latios Mega last time, didn't you?
No, it was also Latias Mega for just a little bit. Then it got
Oh, I
turned to
see.
normal Latias because I got Mega Lopunny.
That's right, that's right. Yeah, effective Pokemon. It's more defensive than its counterpart Latios, but it's definitely still very strong, and it has that speed to make up for it. So a good Pokemon all around. I wanted to talk about, lastly on Clipper's team, maybe Galvantula.
Oh yeah, let me open that up.
Galvantula is, yeah. Galvantula is solidly fast, and it's got a number of interesting utilities. I was kind of surprised it didn't get used last time, to be honest, as a good electric type, but seeing as we didn't have coordinated tiers like this that you had to draft from, it does make a little more sense to draft kind of a string of higher tier Pokemon. But what Galvantula can do is it's got pretty nasty speed to deal with. Electric Bug is a pretty solid offensive typing, but it's got a lot of great utility in things like Sticky Web, one of my personal favorite utilities.
Mm.
It's got Compound Eyes, which is its ability, which increases accuracy, meaning that it can use things like Thunder pretty effectively without really needing to risk the misses that most Pokemon would usually, which shores up that mediocre-ish special attack. So pretty solid mon all the way around for a tier 4, and a good add to a team that doesn't have an electric type already.
Yeah, I mean, I always was given huge trouble by the Sticky Web. And yeah, anything that has that Volt Switch coverage, for example, like you always need a good pivot user, and I think Galvantula with its speed and its pretty decent special attack is a very usable Pokemon that also can pivot if need be, because, I mean, at the end of the day, Bug is not the most offensive type, so... But, I mean, Electric is, so...
Yeah, it just all depends on what you need to hit with it. Bug's great for dark types, it's great for grass types, which Electric struggles against in particular, so I would say a good, like, pairing for the types, but yeah, Bug can be a little hard to utilize.
And, a Pokemon that we already mentioned now, but I want to kind of go back to real quick and put it up. Primarina, who was a part of our champions team, Becca, she definitely utilized it really well. Its speed is pretty bad, but when you have a Choice Scarf on it, well, I mean, that special attack speaks for itself. So this is a Pokemon that will be very useful.
I don't know if Becca in particular ever used the Choice Scarf on Primarina. It's not really one of those Pokemon you'd expect it on, just because it kind of benefits.
Oh, it was a Choice Band? Specs? I don't know. They're all weird.
Yeah, Choice Specs sometimes. Primarina's got the Liquid Voice ability, I think, which changes its sound-based moves to be stab for it. I think that's a big pull. I might be wrong, but in any case, it's very powerful with those special attacks, despite being very slow because of its Liquid Voice ability and because of its special attack being so high just as a base. And then on top of that, it can use like a decent amount of utility and whatnot. Water Fairy, very good type coverage as well. It can hit a lot offensively, and it gets a weird amount of defensive coverage from that. For example, Steel types hit Primarina neutrally instead of for super effective damage as a Fairy type, because Water is for some reason super effective, well, not super effective, but resistant to Steel. So Primarina is all around just a very good pick.
All right, yeah, it was Specs instead of Band. I guess I never really noticed that it would be kind of slow in the field. I was too scared of it. Because it was pretty much a one-hit KO machine when it hit that Moonblast on a lot of the Pokemon that it faced. Definitely a great addition to this team. Anything else you want to specifically mention on Clippers' team, or you want to go on to Captain? Captain.
Discord is making fun of me for not thinking Water should be resistant to Steel, and they're telling me that you can't hit a pool with a sword. And shut up. I'm gonna go hit a pool with a sword just to prove you wrong.
It'll splash, and then some drops will come out, and it's like, oh, now my pool is a little less deep. Just a few thousand of those, and maybe I'll get an inch off of it.
I'm gonna go fucking stab the ocean like Caligula.
All right, let's
move on to Captain's team.
Yeah. Don't know what that was. All right, this is the problem. I have 3. Actually, I have 4. I have to have the stupid Discord up in order to have the chat continuously refresh, and it's really... So I have to have the Discord up, and I have to have the dancing Pokemon up, and oh jeez, I accidentally turned off my monitor. Everything's going to shit. Ah, God. Fuck. I don't like running streams. They're scary.
Water all over your hands for some reason. How did that happen?
Water? Because I was stabbing a pool. Butter.
Oh, okay. Butter pool.
A pool of butter.
Well, while you're getting that fixed up, the stream's actually lagging a bit on my end. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that issue. It's probably just my computer being difficult.
I hope not. I'm in Ethernet. It's showing decent here, so I don't know. Maybe other people have it have it like that. Let me bring this up here. This might be a good place to put it. Things might freeze for 5 fucking seconds. Problem is, like, when you switch to a different thing, suddenly the aspect ratio is different, so it gets all wonky. Oh god, everything just sucks. Oh jeez. Oh god. Please work.
Well, while Jay is having a minor panic attack, making the stream work, let's just take a look at some Captain's first picks. I noticed an interesting trend from Captain's first few rounds of picks. A lot of defensive Pokemon, especially Steel types. You see Heatran, Magnazone, and Stakataka in the first 7 rounds. That's 3 really premier Steel types that Captain drafted, which is interesting. Personally, when I draft Pokemon for this, I look to make cores, which ends up making my type diversity pretty solid within the first few rounds. But Captain has drafted a lot of these more defensive mons, which I think will be an interesting thing to take a look at as we head into the first few battles of the season here. You got Magnazone's ability, which traps other Steel types in with it. Not as applicable when Captain's holding a lot of the best Steel types in their own hand, but at the same time, it's kind of maybe for the best. Some of these Pokemon struggle against Steel types.
What do you think about this this Mega pick from Captain here, the Bayonet?
That was an interesting one to me because I know nothing about Mega Banette, if I'm being totally honest. I know it's not one of the more widely used ones in competitive scenes, but it's got Prankster, which is very interesting. Prankster is one of those like weird abilities that are gonna kind of hit you out of nowhere, and really fuck up your day if you're not paying attention. But the fact that it's like a ghost type with Prankster is a little dangerous. I think it makes it condenses the dark type weakness. So if you switch a dark type in on it, you're likely to be able to shut it down for the most part, because even if it uses an attack, that attack's not going to be stab and super effective against the dark type, and if it's Prankster, it's not going to work against the dark type. But that base attack being 165 means if it does target down something that it's not going to like have trouble hitting directly, it's going to do some massive damage. So when you're looking at things that it's strong against specifically, I think it's going to be pretty monstrous to deal with because you're going to have to guess between attacks and Prankster. But I think there are a number of Pokemon, especially depending on how specific people drafted, that they'll be able to counter this thing with. So it'll be interesting to see what the strategy looks like up against it going into the season.
Yeah, and as you were talking about defensive Pokemon, like Hippowdon, for example, this is something that was used in our League Elite. His team for Season 1, Sock, yeah, it summons a Sandstorm, and it's completely bulky. So it has a lot of bulk that it can use to its defense really easily. We saw it survive some grass type attacks. I remember some super effective attacks last season. It's just a big chonker. So definitely the whole idea of a very defensive team was on Captain's mind, which is fun because like also you see Bayonet, who is not defensive, it's more of an all-out attacker. So it's like, so we have a little bit of a variance there. I guess having a very defensive team made Captain go like, hey, let's go for something that's a little bit more heavy hitting, a little bit more quick hitting, with a little less bulk.
Definitely. And to what you were saying about Hippowdon being so bulky, it sets up sand for itself. And one of the lesser known like side effects of sand is that rock and steel and ground types or whatever, they gain a special defense bonus when sand is up. So that means things that would normally be super effective against Hippowdon, like grass type moves, which are often special attacks for a lot of Pokemon, they're not going to hit nearly as hard, especially when Hippowdon is crazy bulky. And then you've got a lot of Pokemon on Captain's team that like survive well in sand. Those steel types, Seismitoad, a lot of Pokemon that can do well in sand. Not a lot of Pokemon that take advantage of it offensively, I don't think. But if you're building for bulk rather than just straight up offensive potential, then I think this is a really solid team.
And there's another Pokemon here that was gotten relatively late in the draft that ended up being a huge part of Mount's team last season. That's Necrozma with a 127 special attack. Yeah, this thing was fantastic for a relatively late pick. round 8. I'm pretty sure. Oh, it was the second to last tier 3 Pokemon, so definitely not something that was. It was something I think that was kind of slept on for a lot of people.
Yeah, Necrozma is a little slower, and it's got a monotype sort of deal going for it, so it's a little harder to work with. But that big special attack definitely makes up for it, especially with it being a lower tier Pokemon, like you said. So drafting that later in the game is solid, and like we get to see it on somebody else's team this time because we have the division, well, the divisions. So it's interesting that like I think Mount drafted this thing again in Division 2, right? But now we get to see another person try to use it. So it'll be interesting to see what the difference looks like there.
Yeah, that prison armor can do a lot. Yeah, I wish it was like a at least like a steel or a dark type. It looks like a steel or a dark type, but it's just that psychic type. That kind
We'll
of
see
yeah.
when it's combined with the legendaries from Sun and Moon or whatever. It does gain
Yeah.
the steel typing for I think Duskmane and Ghost or Dark type or something for the Dawn Wings. So it kind of is, but it isn't.
Those ones are banned, so might as well not be. All right. What's another Pokemon I see? Delmise is actually a very underrated spinner, that I considered for my team. I like the Ghost and the Grass typing it has, and let me bring it up real quick so we can check its stats. Surprisingly high attack for this thing. I guess like the whole idea is having an anchor fall on your head would kind of hurt a little bit. But yeah, I like this Pokemon.
You're not wrong. If I was hit by a Ghost Anchor, I would go, ouch, that hurts. But yeah, Dhelmise is super solid. You'd think Ghost Grass would be a weird typing, like a really unique typing, but Decidueye has the same thing. So it's a strange, like it's a strange repeated typing for something that seems really niche, but also still really good. Defensively, it blocks a lot. I would say it does have weaknesses, but what doesn't?
Delmise is Ghost Grass because of like
Yeah,
the moss on it.
yeah. Dhelmise it's like an anchor, but it's got grass growing on it, and also it's a ghost.
But also,
Think
like,
about
if you
it.
see the ability, its attack stat is also multiplied by 1.5 while using steel. So in a way, steel it might as well be a steel type when it comes to like offensively because it has the stat bonus for steel. It's very strange. It's like a 3 type Pokemon.
Yeah, I think it gets I want to say it gets Anchor Shot is its signature move. And that's like a trapping offensive move. So that's an interesting thing that Dhelmise specifically gets. I don't know that there's a lot of like I don't know that there's a large amount of Pokemon that you'd want to trap with Dhelmise, just because I think it's hard to take advantage of other Pokemon being trapped in with it based on like the depth of its move pool. But it's definitely interesting tech that could be taken advantage of like on an unsuspecting opponent.
Yeah, and we see like something like Corsola, the Galarian one, where this is another one of those defensive options. This is something that was on Kyle's team last season, and yeah, 100 defense, and that's without Eviolite. So you get that onto it, and suddenly this thing is really hard to take down.
Definitely.
All right.
Um,
Anything more? Should we talk about Heatran a little bit more? Have we talked about it a good deal?
We
I
didn't
forget.
really talk about
Yeah.
Heatran. We should. I kind of just mentioned that Captain had drafted a bunch of like steel and defensive Pokemon, but yeah, Heatran's an interesting one that we should definitely harp on. A team like this that does have a lot of common fire type weaknesses, Heatran's ability to absorb fire type moves is crazy useful. On top of that, it has its own ability to trap other Pokemon. It's got a pretty nasty special attack on its own, and Fire Steel is a good offensive typing.
Yeah, 100%. This thing is terrifying to me. And yeah, it has that thing that I utilized with Chandelure in Season 1, the Flash Fire, which just, if you have a strong fire type Pokemon on your team and you're going up against Captain here, then it's very easy for Captain to just be like, all right, I'm just going to switch into Heatran if you try to use it. And suddenly it's like this thing is the bane of your existence and you have to get rid of it as soon as possible. But then its defensive stats are pretty solid, so it's really hard to get rid of it. The one thing it has against it is probably its speed. A lot of Pokemon can outspeed it, but even then, like 77 is not that bad. So yeah, this thing is dangerous, definitely worthy of a first round pick.
Yeah. Overall, I would say Captain's Team, like that defensive whole deal, very dangerous. Lacking in speed, but assuming they can get the handle on assembling the correct like defensive cores for certain opponents, like ahead of time, and being able to just kind of wall off their offensive threats, I think they're going to have a good time uh, outlasting opponents and really breaking down their teams just through fortitude.
All right. Other than that, I think there's Magnazone, which is a cool pick there. I almost considered it. Let me bring it up here so you can see it. So we can see it and see all of its stats and all the fun stuff with it. Surprisingly slow for an electric type, but I think that's to be expected from a giant magnet man. Overall, fantastic special attack and defense that can bring it far. Pretty good for a third tier and a third pick. Yeah, I like this pick a lot. Once again, something with decent bulk, at least on the defensive side. And even then, special defense 90 is not something that is too hard to look at. That's totally fine. Yeah, I think this is a solid pick as well, and a good electric type Pokemon to add to the coverage. Anything else on this team you want to talk about? Or if you want to go on...
No, I think we can move on to the next one.
All right, sick. So Sleepy is the next one we're going to be looking at. And Sleepy had started off the draft with much of the same from last season. We see Ferrothorn and Ditto, the duo that sort of stalled out Becca enough to win that fantastic battle in Season 1. A battle that for a while looked like it was going to go to Becca until these two started to work their magic.
Yeah, Ferrothorn, despite having that obvious glaring like fire type weakness, is really bulky and really strong. If you're not dealing with one of its two weaknesses, which is fire and fighting, it can really outlast most other Pokemon. Not only that, but it gets access to Leech Seed. You can use Iron Barbs to punish physical attackers. And it doesn't actually shy away from offense if you need it to, with things like Power Whip and Gyro Ball. It can fight back if you want it to. So having it as kind of the defensive backbone for your team, you can really get away with a lot, even without like drafting anything else defensively. And for the most part, Sleepy really didn't. He used this thing really effectively last season, and I think he understands it really well. He had a rain team at that point, and Ferrothorn's very good on that. Ferrothorn's good on like any team, really, and understanding like how it works effectively alongside a lot of good offensive Pokemon, which he did get his hands on. I think it's going to be a real nuisance to deal with this season.
Yeah, and like I said, the other Pokemon that was big on his team that is returning is Ditto. This thing, Sleepy knows how to use this thing, and it's dangerous because you essentially have to account for every single one of your own Pokemon if you want to plan for a Sleepy team with a Ditto in it. You can use that Choice Scarf to suddenly outspeed your Pokemon with its own attacks, and that's pretty terrifying because if it gets a Pokemon of your own that does really well against your team, then suddenly you're finding yourself in a very tough rut, and you can keep switching this thing in and out and keep using your own power against you. So Ditto's another fantastic pick from Sleepy that'll be as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than it was in Season 1.
Yeah, Ditto is really strong setup counter, and then on top of that, even it doesn't need to be setup counter. It can basically take a look at any of your fast, strong Pokemon and go, okay, well now I have that, but faster, or even any other item, to be honest. So what looks kind of unsuspecting can really get the jump on you when you're not looking. Past that, we see a number of quicker Pokemon that I think do make up for Ferrothorn being like slower defensive Pokemon and Ditto more being like counter material. You've got Gengar, Togekiss, Dragonite, which are all real good offensive Pokemon. Togekiss.
Oh, I think we lost him. Nick, hello? Nick? Okay, I guess I can start talking myself because there's a few Pokemon in here that are worth looking at, that I can talk about while I guess Nick gets back into the world. Yeah, so we're talking about more sort of faster Pokemon. I specifically was looking at Togekiss myself. Togekiss is a pretty good mid-draft sort of cleric type. Can do a lot of damage, especially with its fairy typing that it gained. It certainly makes it a lot more viable for fairy type attacks, but it also has amazing move coverage. You can use fighting type attacks like Aura Sphere, fire type attacks like Flamethrower, and then it can roost as well and give you some healing options. I think it has access to Heal Bell, so it can heal your whole team as well. So a very fantastic Pokemon with access to the ability Serene Grace, which is we've seen it on Jirachi be basically broken, and it can be used to the advantage of Togekiss as well. So that's a fantastic pick there. Yeah, and also a Pokemon that I really liked that Sleepy had stolen from everyone else is Whimsicott. Whimsicott's a
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up?
I was having some connection issues. You cut out for a good chunk there,
Uh,
and I
Yeah,
didn't upload
you
anything, but
you did for us. I didn't know if it was me or you, but seems like the stream is
God,
still
yeah.
up, so I'm gonna blame you.
uh-huh.
You want to talk
It
about
was on my
you?
side.
You want to continue what you were talking about? Because I forget when you cut off, but just started talking about like the speedy Pokemon on Sleepy's team that counteracted.
Yeah. Gengar and Dragonite are a good pair of solid offensive Pokemon, is what I was saying. Gengar's got that Poison Ghost typing, which is a potent offensive type, and having Ghost Poison provides some utility you wouldn't expect, like immunity to certain types and the ability to absorb toxic spikes. It's just really good, so it makes up for Gengar being somewhat frail, just being that fast, strong Pokemon with some utility packed behind it. And then Dragonite isn't the strongest of Pokemon on its own anyway, but it gets access to good setup moves like Dragon Dance, and it's also got that multi-scale ability, which will reduce the offensive damage of the first attack it takes. So a good pair of reliable Pokemon for offense, and then you've got Togekiss as well, who isn't as fast really and doesn't have the ability to boost, but it's got a lot of utility moves to take advantage of, and then it's got that Fairy Flying type, which are both good offensive pairings as well.
Yeah, and another fairy type Pokemon. We talked about Prankster earlier being a useful ability. Whimsicott's a deceptively fast Pokemon that uses Prankster to its advantage. I know Sleepy has said in the past he's had some problems with it, so I'm guessing he's really happy to have it on his team instead of somebody else's team. I'd like to see Sleepy use Prankster as sort of the grass type that's a little less slow and bulky and a little bit more running around, U-turn in, maybe doing some moonblasts. Now that that's a stab move, just a all-around interesting pick for him in sort of mid-late or more like a mid draft pick.
Did I cut out again in the middle of that?
Oh, were you talking? If so, then yes.
Neat.
Oh no.
Sorry for everyone listening. My internet has decided that right now, in the middle of the stream, would be a great time to fail. I'm gonna give it one more shot to see if I can make it work correctly.
Well, it seems like when you do come back, it's pretty clear. So maybe, hopefully, it'll stop and leave us alone.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to say about on Whimsicott? Because that's the one that I was talking about there.
Yeah, Whimsicott is the premier prankster user. When you see, like, funny haha videos on YouTube, it's Whimsicott. It's Whimsicott setting up substitutes and leech seeds and all that crazy nonsense where it uses prankster. It's got one of the deepest move pools that can take advantage of prankster, and then being able to use that grass fairy type, which I think I caught the back end of you saying, very solid. So.
All right.
And then, of course, it's paired off with Shuckle, the other meme utility Pokemon, right after it. So
I remember Sleepy had Shuckle for about 5 seconds last season, but with the Rain team, it was a little bit more restrictive on how he can use a Pokemon like that. But now Sleepy's got it with him at his disposal with a different team, so he's going to give it another shot. And yeah, obviously, look at that defense. It's all defense and nothing else, which makes it a really fun sort of Pokemon to try to use. And yeah, it has options for moves such as Toxic, Stealth Rock. It could be a Sticky Webber if need be.
Sticky webs.
Yeah, sticky webs. Love
I
that.
love to, I love to see sticky webs. Sticky webs are great. Everyone should use sticky webs just to mess with Jay.
Just to mess with me because I am too dumb to use it. I mean, Ripped, when was it picked in two? I guess we'll go to the second division later and talk about those guys. Was it picked in two before Ripped could get it? Yeah, I guess it was by Levi. All right, so let's go through. I mean, Charizard. I think it was the Mega X that he picked.
Yeah, Charizard Mega X. Around when I first got into Pokemon was I think the well, not into Pokemon, but into competitive Pokemon was the X and Y scene. So I was playing that on Showdown, and Charizard Mega X was the backbone of like every team I made. I love Charizard X. Similar to Dragonite, you can use Dragon Dance, which is a great setup move, but it also gets like all the moves that Charizard usually gets and can't really take advantage of. So it's got like Earthquake, it's got Flare Blitz, you've got Dragon Claw. So it's got a great like coverage. Like it's got great type coverage really with what it can do. And then on top of that, it's got Tough Claws, which is a great ability for physical attackers.
Yeah, I don't think we saw it last season, so that's great to see now
Yeah.
being used. It's sad that the Chandler Charizards though don't have their Charizard. Maybe season
Look,
3.
the Chandler Charizards appreciate Charizard. We love Charizard even, but it didn't fit on the team this time again. So maybe next time, Charizard. Maybe next time.
What's some other Pokemon on his team? I mean, he has normal Swampert this time, um, so we'll see if it works
Yeah, I'm
as
not
well.
gonna front, Sleepy. I think you taking Swampert because you had it the first season was is pretty based. It's pretty cool. I don't think it's gonna work. I think normal Swampert is very difficult to use, especially in the same capacity that Mega Swampert has going for it. Maybe as a stealth rocker, um, but it's got some weird weaknesses.
Haters gonna hate. Yeah,
I will hate Sleepy.
its abilities aren't as flashy as Swift Swim in the rain, and its attack isn't as flashy either. But I'd like to see it be used. I think for the tier that it was brought in at, and the time in the draft that it was brought in at, it wasn't half bad. You didn't have the Mega last season. Oh, okay.
I don't listen to Jay. I'm gonna kill your Swampert.
I hope you kill his non-Swampert, Sleepy. Espeon. I want to talk about Espeon. Espeon, if we're talking about Pokemon that were used back in the day by us, I loved Espeon when I was like a huge hipster, like a Pokemon hipster. Because like psychic types are my favorite, and Espeon kind of like was a big Pokemon that kind of solidified that. I would use it as a lot of times for like reflect and light screen, but also like it has morning sun, so it has good healing properties, recovery properties, and I think just like I love psychic type Pokemon because like psychic stab is just like it's just such a strong move. It's just so good. It like if you're not prepared to survive like a big special attack hit and you get a psychic stab, it just always fucks you up. And like it can calm mind that shit. It has two fantastic abilities. I mean, I like both of these. Magic Bounce, which makes it so that you basically can't use some status moves. It just bounces back, and Synchronize, which also like it's basically it technically is Magic Bounce but shittier. But still, like it's like on any other Pokemon, it's a pretty decent ability. I love Espeon so much, so I like this pick. I almost picked it, but like as you see later, I got Umbreon, and I didn't want two Eevee friends.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was looking at picks like Espeon later on in the draft when a lot of things had already gone. I was surprised by how fast Espeon is. I didn't realize it was 110 stat. That combined with the 130 special attack, it's really potent for a tier what 4 Pokemon. So a great get, and like you said, Magic Bounce is just excellent to have as utility. So Espeon all around very good.
All right. Anything else we want to look at? We got Heracross. We got the last pick. Chinchino. I think it's
Yeah,
Chinchino.
Chinchino. You pick Chinchino because it has the ability Skill Link, which means its multi-hit moves are going to hit the maximum amount of times. Pretty solid pick, especially for a tier 5. I respect it.
I remember it being really annoying in like the Gen 5 meta, at least in RU or UU. I forget which one I would play more, but it was like in general, like it was Whimsicott, and you see a lot of Gliscor. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, this thing is. If you see these like normal types, sort of like Route 1 Pokemon, typically it's like, who gives a shit? But like this one's an interesting tier 5 pick. I could see it doing a lot of damage to people who aren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
All right, I think we
Right.
should move
We'll
on
move on
to Sock, who saved
cool,
us.
cool.
I want to thank Sock for coming in to that empty draft slot at pretty much the last minute and being like, I got you, buddy. And then now he's back into the league, and yay, we love to see Sock. So let's go over his picks. We see
Yeah.
Landorus
Suck
Therian.
made a very specific choice and how he wanted to draft this season. Obviously, I don't think he drafted his team last season. He picked up for somebody who dropped out and did really well with that. But this time around, he went, I got all of the regenerator users.
Yeah, he did. And I was so mad because I really wanted Reuniclus, but I just waited too long and I lost it. I love
Yeah, but yeah, let's
Reuniclus.
not get ahead of ourselves. Landorus Therian, widely regarded as like the king of OU in the past few generations of Pokemon. Just a very great Pokemon. It can do pretty much anything you want. It's not incredibly fast, but it is fast enough that you can really strap a Choice Scarf to it if you want. It can be crazy defensive. It can set hazards. You can just make it blow up on your opponent. Or you can just like hook it up to a Choice Band and click Earthquake. It's great. It's got a lot of immunities that you don't normally have stuff to deal with unless you're specifically planning for it. So it's a great Pokemon to have on this team. Or any team, sorry.
I just realized we're the last two, so that's actually perfect, at least for Division 1. So after we talk about everyone else's, we can talk about ours. Yeah,
Yeah.
Landorus Terrian is like a great offensive, just like powerhouse, hits you really hard Pokemon. But then you have some Pokemon that we saw, at least one that we saw from last season from Sock, and that's Tangrowth, who kind of embodies the opposite. Not that it can't hit hard, but it's a very good bulk Pokemon that we saw work very well for him in his 9-1 asterisk season. And we have also yeah, like we saw the regenerator users. Tornadus is a Pokemon that he ended up getting soon after that. And Slowking, which is another fantastic Eviolite user, which has a lot. Or no, not that's Slowbro. Okay, yeah. For some reason, I was reading it as Slowbro. But yeah, another regenerator. And I think Nick is having connection issues again because he muted. So we can wait for him a little bit. But definitely this regenerator stuff. If you don't know what regenerator does, essentially when it is switched out, it automatically restores a third of its maximum HP. So that's scary. And pretty much he can set up a team where like almost everybody has that. So I was talking about, I was gushing about Reuniclus earlier. A Pokemon I really wanted. As I said, I love psychic types, so it's just like anything that can run psychic effectively is fantastic to me. And this thing has regenerator, but it also has magic guard. Hi Nick, I see you came back.
Hi, I'm back. I smelled something burning, but
Oh.
the fire alarms in my building haven't gone off, so I'm probably okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's scary. And everything's trying to kill you during the stream.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Where are we at in talking about Sox draft?
I just talked a little bit about Slowking and like talked a little bit more about Regenerator, and I was gonna move into my favorite Pokemon of all time, Reuniclus.
Oh yeah. If you don't mind me,
Yeah, go
cutting
ahead.
in on Slowking Tornadus. Last season, I actually drafted both Tornadus and Slowking, and my idea was to make a fast and slow like Regenerator core to use defensively, and that worked once or twice. But Slowking's a little bit shallow on the move pool. That can be well, not necessarily for any team, but for my team, it didn't work really well. And I didn't need another specially defensive Pokemon. I needed physically defensive, but I think Becca picked up Slowbro on me. Um, but overall, I think it's a pretty effective user of Regenerator thanks to that teleport ability, and then on top of Tornadus being like it has U-turn and pretty decent bulk itself. Great defensive Pokemon that can use Regenerator, and then he's got Tangrowth too. It's like a crazy defensive wall that really covers a lot of options here because Tornadus and Slowking are both weak to electric type moves, but Tangrowth can tank those pretty easily. The one thing I think that was gonna give him some issues was Dark and Ice type, because if you look at the Regenerator Pokemon on his team, they have a collective like weakness to either or both. So he drafted Weavile to prevent that from being an issue for
Man.
himself. To just make sure nobody else got it, which I thought was really funny. I was thinking about drafting Weavile literally because it would eat his lunch, but he managed to get it first, so good on him.
I love Weavile. That thing saved me against Mount in I think round 10 or round 9. Yeah, that thing rocks. I love it a lot. Yeah, and Nicholas, I wanted to talk about Magic Guard, which is something that I can use if it doesn't want to use Regenerator. I love Magic Guard. It's basically like you have to hit me directly because you can't fuck me any other way. So like status conditions, Stealth Rock, Spikes, they can't damage Nicholas if it's running a Magic Guard ability. This thing basically like it cannot take anything that isn't direct damage, and I've used that in a Sigilyph. I loved Sigilyph back in the day, and Rhinoculus is way stronger than Sigilyph, so it's like whoa, like this thing's ability is fantastic with Magic Guard and Regenerator. There's a lot of coverage there for Sock, depending on how he wants to go round by round.
Yeah, it's very solid. I didn't realize its defenses were so low, and it just has pretty decent like HP. So that's an interesting thing to look into. I guess that makes sense as to why it's like only tier 4, but still, the ability, like it having high HP means that Saw can really assign it defense or special defense for any given battle, and then pair it off with one of his other defensive Pokemon to make it work. So having that versatility, not only in its abilities, but also in like which defenses it wants to invest in, is pretty solid.
Let's look at these lower Pokemon. I see a Granbull in there, which is not something I expected to be drafted.
I think he was looking for a fairy type, and like late game went, well, this is the only thing left, except for Mawile, which he ended up drafting last as his Mega. But honestly, yeah, I don't know what Granbull can really do. Obviously, it's a tier 5, so it's not anything super special. Yeah, an Intimidator to pair off with some of the defensive Pokemon, that makes sense to me.
I guess he's just trying to use it as like something to fill in the last gaps that it has.
Yeah. And then, but the big one, Mega Mawile, that one's crazy. It's got a similar ability as to the Mega I drafted. It's got that huge power ability, which means it's going to double its offensive investment, which is crazy when you see it has like Sucker Punch. It's got that Fairy Steel stat, which is normally just like a really solid defensive typing anyway, but paired off with that really great ability, hyper scary. Not incredibly fast on its own, but if you get in the wrong situation with it, it's going to punish your Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a Pokemon that I was considering, but I had too many damn fairies, so I couldn't. No way that I would draft that there. But yeah, huge power is extremely scary. I think Lemon used this one last time and saw some interesting plays with it, so I'd like to see how Sock handles it. Probably I won't like to see it though because I'm in the same league as him, and I'll have to face him at least once. All right. Anything else on Sock's team that you want to point out? I mean, I see like Raikou, which is a Pokemon that is kind of it's one of those Pokemon that like makes this tier system so great because it's like it's a strong Pokemon, but like normally you wouldn't see it get its see its potential getting used. But I mean, it's a pressure user, and it's just like or not pressure. I guess pressure. Yeah, pressure is its best ability. Yeah, it's just like an electric Pokemon that may get outshadowed by other things normally, but it's still a strong Pokemon, and like it can still do a lot of damage, especially with a great trainer like Sock.
Yeah, definitely. It's when we have 12 slots like this, there's really no excuse not to have something for like one of each type at least, really, and the ability to like lay down certain pressure. Given what your opponent's gonna have 12 Pokemon too, so you need to be kind of ready for anything. So having a solid electric type in the back, even if it isn't his most solid Pokemon, he has the option now to like deploy Raikou in case of Fetch, for example, who's got that rain team going on, or whoever else has a weakness to an electric type or that he needs an electric type for. So it's a really solid electric type Pokemon to have in the back pocket.
What do you think about Caparaya, or however you say
Caparaja?
it? Caparaja. I've never seen it get used competitively.
Yeah, it's one of the newer Pokemon from Gen 8, and it's got Steel typing going on. I think it's mono steel type.
Yeah.
And I believe it's one of the new users of Steel Roller, which can undo terrain. The downside being it can only be used, that move can only be used while in terrain. So it gives it the advantage of being able to, you know, chew through opponents' tapus, I guess. But it does definitely come with the drawback of you can only use it against those people. It's got a solid HP stat, but it's lackluster defenses, which is not something you really want to see on a steel type. But it does have crazy offense, so it'll be interesting to see what Sock does with it.
Yeah, it can utilize weight based moves extremely well because its ability heavy metal makes it so that if you want to opt for that ability, you can have its weight is doubled automatically. So it's like heavy slam is a huge move that is in its move pool that can be used to utilize that on top of its 130 attack. Yeah, but definitely like that defense and mixed with that speed is kind of unfortunate for a steel type. But I mean the HP is 122, so that kind of salvages it a little bit. I'd like to see how it gets used. I've never seen it get used before. It's one of those new Pokemon that I haven't gotten the opportunity to check out.
Definitely.
All right, so let's move on to CJ because we have a lot more people to get through. And CJ, it looks like his first move in the draft was Corviknight. What do you think about that?
Interesting play. Personally, I've never found like when I was doing the research for the tier systems, and I was looking at other leagues' tiers. Corviknight was listed high pretty much all the time. I've never seen the huge deal for Corviknight, but I respected that other leagues did. So we listed it as tier 1. But I don't think it's a bad Pokemon by any means. It has a lot of things going for it. It's got that steel flying type is something you really only see with Skarmory, which has been kind of a staple of a lot of competitive teams since its kind of inception. So Corviknight being there in the same situation makes sense. It's got mirror armor, which stops it from really having its stats changed on it. So it can do things like use bulk up or iron defense, and then fight back with defensive moves like body press. Sleepy has strong thoughts about Corviknight, and
That pop up on my Twitch stream.
good.
So
Cool.
that's fine.
Even. But yeah, I mean, just looking at Corviknight's stats, it's got 105 defense, and that's its best, which isn't. It's not that huge, to be honest. So I'm personally kind of like a little lost as to what to do with it. I don't think I could personally do a lot with it, but it definitely has a deep move pool that I think somebody with a little bit of innovation could make a lot of use out of, especially if you draft a solid team that can make use of its typing.
All right, and then we kind of move on to the rest of CJ's. I'm looking at Aegislash is a Pokemon that has been nerfed a little bit in the last few seasons, but still a very good not seasons, generations. Still a very good Pokemon with stance change.
Yeah. Aegislash having Steel Ghost. Now that's a very strong defensive typing because one of Steel's big drawbacks is fighting, and Ghost immediately gives you that immunity to it. And then, of course, Aegislash has that very special stance change ability, which isn't affected by a lot of more niche mechanics in the game, and provides you the ability to just kind of switch back and forth between, do I need a tank or do I need something that's going to dish out damage real quick? You can avoid giving Aegislash damaging moves and just keep it a tank the whole time. You can give it priority Shadow Sneak and then make it like take advantage of using Swords Dance in its shield form, and then fly. It's got that versatility that can change very quickly. If you don't know what you're doing when Aegislash hits the field, it's going to wreck your shit.
And looking through here, we see Pokemon like a Azumarill, which didn't get as much use as I think Sleepy would have expected in his first season. I'd like to see how CJ tackles Azumarill, see if it fits well into this team. But another defensive option I see is Snorlax, which is another Pokemon that is a Pokemon that has bulk to it that might be able to be switched in just in case there's in case you want to tank something, Snorlax might be a good opportunity to make sure that you can do that. I know he wanted Blissey, so having a Pokemon that like that in the absence of Blissey is always a positive thing, to me at least.
Yeah, Snorlax can be hard to work with because it's not the best tank, and normal type suffers from that, like ever-present, really like those fighting types. They're everywhere. But with Aegislash as a defensive partner, it really shores that up because if your opponent wants to use a fighting type move, they have to either deal with Aegislash first or keep in mind that you could literally just switch at any time and negate their turn and then start setting up on them, which is crazy. So Snorlax really benefits from a partner like Aegislash and can create a decent type coverage sort of defense for CJ, which I think he will appreciate strongly from. Not to mention Mimikyu and Runerigus are other ghost types on CJ's team. He's kind of lousy with them, to be honest. So Snorlax probably has a lot it can do on this team.
Yeah, 100%. Let's bring up Mimikyu real quick. Yeah, Mimikyu was a Pokemon that he had towards the later half of last season, I believe, and I think it worked well for him. And yeah, it has that fairy type attack or fairy type typing. Very good typing on Mimikyu, and also it's awesome. I love the design very much. Let's look through here. I mean, Flygon's pretty good for Levitate because we see this Regieleki come in the later part of the draft. Or no, he has Regidrago. I'm sorry. He has Electivire as his electric type. So Flygon can always be used to sort of be a catalyst for any electric type Pokemon that come out, so we'll allow Electivire to get a little bit more utility as he continues round by round.
Yeah, Flygon provides Dragon and Ground, which is a very solid offensive pairing, and then also kind of gives you the benefits of both of those types, which you want to see when you're, in a draft league like this. And the benefits of having this tier system, Flygon's not the best Ground or Dragon type, just in general, but because we're playing with tiers this season, it's going to get its chance to shine, I think, which, I like a lot. Flygon's a cool Pokemon, and it definitely has the uses that it can take on. I think it gets Dragon Dance. I think it can be a special attacker. You'd probably strap a Choice Scarf to it. It's probably got a lot of versatile range, to be honest.
All right. Anything else you want to look at on CJ's team? Or you want to go on to Fetch?
Well, Alakazam Mega, we kind of skipped over that.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Alakazam.
Yeah, Mega Alakazam is one of the fastest Pokemon just in general. And then having that crazy special attack on top of it means it's going to be difficult for opponents to deal with. CJ has a lot of solid defensive mons that protect Alakazam's weaknesses, to be honest. If you look at the Steel types, if you look at the Ghost types, they're really going to do a good job of protecting Alakazam from priority it might not want to deal with, or even faster or choice scarfed Pokemon, and then allow it to really come back and shred through opponents. So I think it's gonna do pretty good. I'm pretty sure CJ had a normal Alakazam last season and used it pretty decently. The fact that he drafted the Mega this time around, I think, shows that he's a little more confident with it and wants to use it.
Oh, he did, didn't he? Have the normal one? Yeah, I actually didn't realize that this thing was so speed and special attack heavy. Like that thing, yeah. You have to hit it physically if you want to have any chance against this thing. So that'll be interesting to see how people set up against him and how he sets up against other people to maybe counteract to that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I think we should move on to Fetch. And here is a team that we see a lot of similarities with maybe somebody from season 1.
Yeah. The 3 of the first 4 Pokemon Sleepy used last season in a rain team, which was pretty effective. Pelipper is that premier rain setter, and the only reason it's tier 1 is because it's so good as a rain setter that it can really kind of carry a rain team on its back. Getting his hands on Mega Swampert as well, definitely pretty scary. That thing is very fast under rain and will beat the shit out of you because it's just so strong. You really have to hit it with grass or nothing else. Then on top of that, you've of course got Zapdos and Thundurus, which can just spam Thunder now that they're under rain, which is pretty crazy. Thundurus also has that Prankster and Volt Absorb ability, which means Fetch's Pokemon that are weak to electric types have even less to worry about. And, he can really pull out utility if he doesn't want to spam the rain on a certain week.
Zapdos also has the access to Hurricane, correct? So we have also a huge flying type move that can be boosted in the rain.
That sounds right. I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest.
I believe so. I can scroll through here real quick. Maybe not. I thought it did. Does it not? Am I crazy? Maybe not.
Yeah, Hurricane's not a super new move, but it's a newer move. No, yeah, Zapdos does get Hurricane. I'm
Oh,
looking
it
at it right
does.
here.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
is it in Sword and Shield?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there it is. All right, that's why I was looking at. Yeah, I was gonna say I was gaslighting myself. I was like, no, it's there. I
Gaslighting
promise.
yourself. Yeah, Zapdos can be surprisingly bulky because you can use static against physically attacking Pokemon, which is often what it's used as in competitive. But it doesn't slouch on speed and special attack, to be honest. So you can kind of flip it between those, and especially on a rain team where it can take advantage of Thunder to the fullest and Hurricane, like you said, pretty scary. Thundurus Therian's in the same spot, except it's even faster. So you've got two premier special attackers, really, and then Mega Swampert is a crazy physical attacker. And then you follow that up with like another pair of solid attackers on either team. You've got Scizor, which is not as fast, but you really don't need it to be when you've got already these fast Pokemon ahead of it. And then it kind of packs that like Steel Bug typing, which is good coverage for what you can't hit with the previous Pokemon, plus priority, which is crazy. So a good physical attacker. Then you got Starmie, which is a great special attacker and also very fast in its own right, which is going to benefit from the rain because it's going to shoot off crazy hydro pumps at 2 times power. It's just a really scary team to look at, these first 6 Pokemon.
Yeah, and it keeps going as you move on. I mean, I've always admired Celebi. Celebi was a Pokemon that was on Tara's team last season, and I like how it can be used as a pretty like it can be used as a surprisingly effective cleric with Heal Bell and what was the other one? Healing Wish. It also it can use Recover, so it can be a cleric to its own self. But yeah, this is a Pokemon that I think was a great pick about mid draft as a good grass type and the psychic type option. Also, yeah, it also has Natural Cure. So whenever it gets switched out, suddenly, bam, it doesn't have that paralysis, paralysis,
Paralysis.
paralysis. It doesn't have the
Yes.
paralysis if you ended up thunder waving it. It doesn't have the toxic, the poison if you ended up using toxic on it. It can also U-turn, so it has that pivot move option. I always liked Celebi. I always liked these mythical fairy Pokemon that they have here with all the 100 stats. Stop making fun of my paralysis pronunciation. I'm on stream. There's a lot of pressure there. Okay. Sometimes you lose a window that halfway through your stream, and sometimes you pronounce paralysis wrong. Also, he has Shaymin. That's crazy. So you get Shaymin and Celebi also taken on the same team. That's fun. Are you there, Nick?
Hello.
Hi. Just making sure. Because
Yeah, I think
sometimes.
some bad weather is rolling in around here, and the Wi-Fi is getting pretty antsy.
So
Yeah, you
Shaymin and
sounded like a
Celebi.
horrible.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no. Fetch has a strong team of offensive Pokemon that coordinate well already. Adding a base $100 round Pokemon like Celebi that has a typing that synergizes with what he's got already is just smart. It's good utility to have, and it's not like Celebi's worried about fire types on a team like this that's going to be like lousy with Pokemon that are just going to absolutely punish the shit out of them. Same thing with Scizor. It doesn't need to worry about fire types because Rain is going to have the attack power of that, and then Mega Swampert or Zapdos is just going to run it over.
And yeah, like I said, Shaymin's on this team as well, so he has two natural cure hundo all around mythical Pokemon to work with.
Yeah, yeah, very good point. We see Tentacruel on here as
Ooh, how
well,
about
not being stolen from. Yep.
yeah, not this one. Oh yeah, just go ahead. I'm sorry. I just like immediately looked at this and I saw that he has a Pharaoh Seed on his team.
Yeah, interesting pick. Let's skip down to Pharisee because that's the more
Yeah.
interesting one.
I think we can skip
um,
around. We don't have to go like immediately in order. We can always like see the one that catches our eye and go for that first, then go back up if we need to.
I think we get the picture on what these tier 4 picks look like. They're solid Pokemon that fit the team. Politoed is an alternative Rain Setter developer. Tentacruel is a Pokemon that can take advantage of Rain because of Rain Dish and get some HP back. It's solid. And then, like you said, Shaymin's a grass type with all around 100 stats, so that's good utility to have. Ferroseed, I was wondering when we went into this with tiers, where would people pick lower evolved, like pre-evolved versions of higher tier Pokemon? And we didn't really see that for the most part, except for here with Ferrothorn. You can see like Clefairy in Division 2 as well. And I'm just curious how well that's going to work out. You could give Ferrothorn like Eviolite, and then probably make it work pretty decently, but it does have very small stats to work with, even though it does have everything else that Ferrothorn's got going for it, the typing, the ability, all that, and the depth of move pool. So I'm very interested to see how well Fetch uses this, if he does decide to bring it at all.
I really hope he brings it for at least one thing. Yeah, I love these like later final pick options that a lot of people are using because it allows people to sort of do weird stuff like pick a Ferroseed because who knows when you're gonna need something like this. And obviously with an Eviolite and the decent defense to begin with, like this little guy could survive a few attacks if need be. Just don't bring anything that can use fire type attacks near it because that will be a little bit difficult. All right, you want to move on to Ghost?
Yeah.
All right. So here on Ghost's team, we see the first Pokemon that was picked was a Garchomp, and we talked about the Dragon Grounds sort of combo earlier, and I think no Pokemon sort of encapsulates this as well as Garchomp.
Yeah, it's really only Garchomp and Flygon that have it.
There's one more. There's one more.
Ooh.
Look at my draft.
Zygarde, that's right. Zygarde's like a legendary weird Pokemon. Shut up. Shut your
He's
face.
special.
Zygarde definitely stomps them both, but what? Garchomp isn't the fastest of Pokemon, but in terms of like offensive threats, not a lot more you could ask for. It's got a very solid base attack. It's bulky enough to take a hit, provided you have the Pokemon to defend it from like Ice type moves. And then Dragon Ground is really solid offensive typing. You can hit Earthquake and you can hit Outrage. What more do you want? You know, you can really smash through opponents without much regard for what they're doing. And because this isn't really the Mega form, you can strap on a number of different items that will make this thing pretty useful. And then right after, you got Mega Lopunny, which is also pretty insane. But if you want to talk about that, Jay, because you had it last season.
Yeah, also I want to say that like I'm very upset right now because I've learned in the last 10 seconds that Petra got sniped by Ghost on Garchomp. So if Petra was able to get Garchomp, maybe she wouldn't have stolen Tapu Koko from me, and I could have had Tapu Koko. God damn it.
It's hilarious.
It's not hilarious. It sucks. Yeah, Mega Lopunny is a Pokemon that I used last time. It can be a little bit predictable at times, but like even if you predict what it's gonna do, it still is pretty good at doing it. You got that fake out. Actually, let me bring it up before I start talking about it, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, it has that fake out high jump kick combo that it can utilize very well, and with its fighting type attack or fighting type stab, its high jump kick is extremely lethal with that 136 attack, and also 135 speed is a fantastic utility to make sure that it goes first in most instances. But also it has the access to Scrappy, which means it can hit ghost types with normal and fighting type moves. That means that you can't escape this thing. You can't just be like, oh wow, you have the high jump kick, well I'm just gonna bring my, I don't know, what's a ghost type Pokemon that has been my Mimikyu. I can just bring my Mimikyu, no problem. No, it will still hit you with high jump kick and it will still make it hurt. I think it's simple. It's kind of easy to then go ahead and protect. So that's where Ghost has to make sure to be careful here. Also, high jump kick can miss a lot, and when high jump kick misses, it's pretty much a GG for Lopunny. But it also has access to things like Return, which is a good alternate for a high jump kick. Still a stab type move for Mega Lopunny. I love this Pokemon, and not just because of like haha Lopunny memes. Like it's a powerful Pokemon. I really like how they buffed Lopunny to become a huge staple in OU.
Yeah, definitely. Mega Lopunny's got, with Scrappy, fighting and normal is virtually perfect type coverage. There's nothing that resists normal that does not take super effective damage from fighting, or at least like normal damage, which is crazy. anything that you have on the field is a potential target for Mega Lopunny if you are not prepared to deal with it. Because it's so fast, it gets priority, and it gets base 100 or base 120 moves for its stabs. It will take you down very quickly. So having it is very scary. Like you said, though, High Jump Kick does have its flaws, but Scrappy does its work to try and patch that up. Meaning you do kind of have to protect if you want to escape High Jump Kick.
Also, if we look down the list for Ghost's draft, we see a lot of Pokemon that are very hard hitting. Chandelure has a fantastic special attack stat that, if not checked, it can be pretty devastating. And plus, it has Flash Fire, so it's a good Pokemon to switch into if you expect the other team to be using Fire type moves. But also, Tyranitar is another Pokemon. But also, like in between these heavy hitting Pokemon like Lopunny and Chandelure and Garchomp, we see Pokemon that are really good at taking hits. Like Slowbro with an Eviolite could be pretty devastating when it comes to absorbing whatever you throw at it. Also, Amoonguss, I believe, is a pretty fantastic defensive Pokemon, and Clefable.
I can hear you again.
Oh, sorry. I'm just talking about. I'm talking about the defensive options alongside these heavy hitting attacking options. We have a lot of tanks here, like Slowbro and Clefable, and I believe Amoonguss is a pretty decent tank, right? It has some pretty
Definitely,
good
yeah.
defenses. Yeah.
Amoonguss is another regenerator user, which is very solid, and then Grass Poison is a good defensive typing. Where you see where it has Slowbro is very physically defensive, while Clefable is very specially defensive for the most part. So they make a good core together. Amoonguss, I think, is physically defensive, if I remember right. Either that or it's just kind of like balanced defense, which kind of even better when you already have one of each. So a good solid defensive wall with a lot of comprehensive typing going on for it.
Yeah, so deeper into this draft to see some of the steals that might have been had here. I see Alolan Muck, which is something that Sleepy ended up drafting, or not drafting, but picking up in free agency last season. I remember it being a Pokemon with a lot of promise that I would like to see used to its full potential here. Let me pull it up here so people can see it. Very much an upgrade from the normal Muck. With that dark type, that dark type that it has on it, that helps it become a very reliable pursuiter and a very reliable knockoff user. Yeah, and like its attack is pretty strong for a pile of rainbow colored sludge, and its HP and special defense also are not stuff to underestimate as well.
Yeah, very solid. Is there anything else on? Ooh, Chandelure's a good pick. You had that one last season.
Yeah,
Too,
I
didn't you?
talked about it a little bit in regards to it being very heavy hitting with special attack. Special attack is insane, and it has flash fire, so it's dangerous to have a fire type Pokemon on your team when a Chandelure is on the other team, because you never know when it's going to be
Yeah.
switched in and power itself up.
Packing Flash Fire means Chandelure is a good partner for both Lopunny and Amoonguss, I would say, because Lopunny's only weakness is fighting types, and Chandelure can shrug those off. And Amoonguss really, for the most part, only suffers from fire types. I mean, you see your occasional flying type as well, but shut up. But Chandelure can come in and protect with an immunity against fire types. So a solid core between those three, to be honest.
All right. I've been told we were sleeping on Empoleon. Do you have any kind words to say about Empoleon here before we move on to the next person?
I would say Empoleon is a water steel type, which is a great defensive typing. But in terms of stats, I would say Empoleon is, pretty mediocre. But I appreciate what its typing can do. And it's got a decently, a deep move pool that it can source from for, whatever you really need for your team. I was thinking about drafting it myself in the later rounds, but ended up not going that way. But I think it's a good Pokemon to have just, sitting around. It's a good steel type.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move on to Petra, who drafted the Pokemon that I wanted, Tapu Koko. This is a Pokemon that we saw on Kyle's team in Season 1 that I believe he got again. Yeah, he did get it again and this time around in Division 2. But yeah, Tapu Koko is probably the premier Electric-type Pokemon in the metagame. Its access to Electric Surge makes sure that its Electric-type attacks are extremely powerful, but also it can use stuff like Dazzling Gleam to a very high effect, and it can be a very good Volt Switcher, which gives it has amazing power to pivot if need be, and also deal a lot of damage while it's doing it. This is a huge threat on Petra's team.
Definitely, yeah. Tapu Koko is incredibly scary because it's one of the few Pokemon that can really swap between physical or special attacker and be really good at both. It's got the moves to do it, it's got the stats to do it, and it's got that speed it can rely on either way. And Electric Fairy is such a unique typing that it really just can smash teams with. You get the advantage of both in terms of like what you need for your team. Like it gets two kind of niche ones out of the way, and then you can use it to its full offense. And then it's also got like light screen and reflect. I think it learns taunt. It's not.
It learns Roost.
It doesn't slouch really. Yeah, it learns Roost. It doesn't slouch anywhere. It's got a great move pool and it's got great stats. And great typing. Like, what do you want?
Let's actually bring on Petra because Petra wants to come on and talk about her team, and also I want to bring on Ghost because apparently she wanted to come on as well. So after Petra talks about her team and we kind of wrap up with her team, we'll kind of circle back to Ghost's team real quick, and then she can talk about it if she would like to. Ghost, if you would like to join the stream later, go on and jump into general, and we'll be able to move you in after we're done talking with Petra. So yeah, sorry, I don't have the general text channel up right now, so I wasn't able to see what you had said. But definitely come into the general voice channel, and we'd like to have you after Petra. But let's bring on Petra, and then Petra can talk about her team and how she picked them and everything. Hi, welcome to the stream. Hi, Petra. Woo.
Hear you all twice.
Oh, you do hear? Oh yeah.
You might want to mute the stream.
Might be
the call.
Yeah, mute the stream so I can talk and call. So my original plan was I wanted to get something in Tier 1 that was offensive, Blissey and Slowbro, and that went out the door in round 3. So I sort of pivoted to a sort of bulky offense semi-stall that I am pretty comfortable with, especially with stuff Gen 6 and earlier, because I don't know post-Gen 6 all that well. Blissey and Skarm is a pretty iconic duo going back to Gen 4 or Gen 3. And they're sort of my defensive core, but Venu is something I've loved using basically every time I've had it. It can do a lot of stuff. It's better offensively than I thought it was. And I'm just... The only thing I don't love is having the double psychic typing, but like Latios and Azelf can both do their own thing.
Yeah, you had you made Sleepy very mad when you took Azelf. Oops.
Yeah. And then earlier today I dropped Rotom Frost for Piloswine, just swapping out the ice types.
Sure, yeah. We saw, I think I used Latios last season, and then Sleepy, of course, used Azelf last season, and they do very different jobs, so I don't think stacking up on psychic types like that is necessarily a weakness at all. Yeah. Especially when we have so many Pokemon. Like, you're going to see the coincidences at some point.
Yeah, I think that and the fighting typing on Ape and Mienshao are like my only type overlaps on the team, which I'm... and Golisopod Manaphy, but again, completely different Pokemon.
I love Mienshao. I think that's one of the other... Yeah, it's one of the other Regenerator users that...
Yep.
Yeah, Sock didn't steal. Yeah, fantastic draft. Any other Pokemon you want to give a shout out to talk about?
I think Staraptor is going to be able to do some good work for me. That's one I'm excited to use.
Right.
We all love Gen 4 in this house. Staraptor's great.
It's okay.
Gen 4 and Gen 5 are my favorites, even if Gen 6 was when I was really big into competitive.
Yeah, Gen 5 is my favorite.
Yeah, I feel that.
So I respect that 100%. Any Pokemon that we've talked about already on different teams that you are a little concerned about facing?
Sock's entire ski team terrifies me.
Sock just terrifies me.
I think it's a terrible matchup for me.
Yeah, kind of lacking the dark ice type sort of deal we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, honestly, I think pretty much all of these teams are really solid. I'm really looking forward to this season, though.
Yeah, I can't wait till we start rolling with these because I fall in love with my team immediately. But yeah,
Thank you for having me on the stream.
No problem. Thanks for coming on and talking about your team.
Yeah, of course.
Hopefully when we do Battle Nights, you can come on again after a win, maybe.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect.
I do nothing in my free time, so I will probably be on VC whenever I see someone here and I'm not already in another server.
Hell yeah. So we'll have you on probably one of our future streams. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So that was Petra. So that's fun. One of our new people coming in and giving her team and all of her thoughts. That's fun to do. It's just good. I love that we've like fostered a little community here, so it's fun that we can talk about Pokemon and battle with, and it's great.
I'm so glad you suggested doing 2 divisions this time, because it allowed us to do like a little bit more people, and I think like it'll allow us to expand on how many people we do in the future and kind of grow this group.
I think it makes people a lot more comfortable, because I know like Vertigo or Obi and Connor were 2 people that came on because I was like, hey, we have a Division 2 now, so if you're not as comfortable with Pokemon, this is a place where you can be a little bit more casual with it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's gonna work out really well. But yeah, well, we're waiting on Ghost to join in the general. If we want to move on to, I guess my team is next.
Yeah, let me ping her on chat. Just to make sure that she knows, because I don't know if she was watching the stream when we said it. Oh, she says, yep. Okay, so...
Give her a minute or 2 here.
Oh, is she, like, getting stuff prepared?
I don't know. I imagine she's plugging in a mic or something if she's not joining the general.
Alright, let's, fun message. Woo! Wholesome message. Alright, I guess we can kind of go into your team and then go back. Oh no, there's Ghost. Alright, we'll bring Ghost in here to talk about. So let's recap first. Ghost had Garchomp on our team, Lopunny, Mega, Chandelure. This is the team that we were talking about then. So let's bring on Ghost and have her talk about her team here. Hey, welcome to the stream.
Say, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, legit. Hold on. Let me turn off the stream.
Oh.
Okay. Wait. Do I have this right? Okay, why can't I hear y'all?
Oh, you can't hear us?
Oh, wait, no. Okay, I can hear y'all.
Perfect.
Okay. Let's see. So, when I was going through my draft, I basically had the first 3 or 4 picks lined up. I had Garchomp as my second choice. The only reason I was going to go with Lando T above Garchomp is it's Lando T. Like,
right.
Yeah.
You can't say no to Lando T. Like, that thing has like 6 or 7 different sets that are all very, very viable. And that's kind of what I was going for. I looked at things that can either run multiple sets or things that you can't say no to. Garchomp is both a viable tank and it can sweep with the Scale Shot set. And I've used that one a couple of times and it's pretty effective, especially if you get it off. Garchomp has fantastic stats. I think it's got a base 102 speed, which is actually not bad considering how much bulk it has. So overall, I knew if I didn't get Lando T, Garchomp would be a fantastic pick in that you've got an offensive Stealth Rock setter, it can sweep, or it can tank depending on what your EV spreads want to be. When round 2 came around, I just had to pick Mega Lopunny. It's too good, and it's something you kind of don't want anyone else to get a hold of. The only problem at that point in time is that I became too all my attackers at that point were very physical, and it wouldn't be until I got down to Chandelure that I would eventually pick up something that was more on the special side. Because if you look, my next defensive pick was Tyranitar, who is very tanky, but at the same time still very physical. But once again, another pick you can't really say no to. Multiple sets, can run Assault Vest, can run a Stealth Rock set, can run Dragon Dance if that's what you're vibing. Um, but at that point in time, those are my big three attackers. All Tyranitar, despite being more, I've always kind of leaned on him more defensively, even though that's a terrible defensive typing. You have what I think 7 to 8 different weaknesses that you're running with Rock and Dark, and uh, fighting being such a common offensive type, you're going to look at a lot of things that are doing quad damage to it. But overall, those stats are just very mean, especially if you're. So, we were talking about Sock earlier. Petra mentioned, you look at that matchup, you're looking at Lando T, you're looking at Torn T, and that's just such a great core because of the diversity of options that you're running. Like I said earlier, Lando T can run probably like 6 or 7 different sets, all very, very viable. Its access to Intimidate is just phenomenal. You're cutting down on just so you're taking the bite out of most physical threats. And to be honest, if you're looking at what the biggest threats are, um, as far as what we've drafted goes, the big ones are all physical. Tapu Koko can run either set, yeah. But Cinderace is physical. Heatran, yes, it's special, but it tends to run more defensively. Garchomp is physical. Medicham is physical. Zeraora is physical. So at the end of the day, Lando T is just, I mean, and then Torn T can run a several different kinds of sets: defensive pivot, assault vest. Um, you're looking at that's just going to be a very difficult matchup for everybody. But Tyranitar has a good special attack stat. It has a great attack stat. Uninvested, I think an Ice Beam has a somewhere between like I think it's like a 30% chance to Oko Lando T with no investment. Um, so if you really want to, you can run a mixed set on Tyranitar.
You're
Um,
absolutely right. Depending on how you invest with Tyranitar, and depending on how Lando T is invested, you can definitely do that. I think in Gen 6, my Lando T counter was a surprise Tyranitar that ran like Assault Vest, specially defensive, and then an Ice Beam in the back to take it out. It was a fun little set, but Tyranitar does have those weird niche abilities. I think I didn't realize that when I was looking at it initially, but that's a very interesting pick.
And so that was one thing. So when I kind of paid attention more towards the end of last season during the playoffs, and I helped Tara kind of get ready for a lot of the battles. But one of the things that I realized, going through the draft is you really want to draft things that can run a lot of different sets because you can come up with some incredible jank. Like I can't remember who had Tapu Lele
I did.
last season. Okay, so I did a team that had 2 Tailwinders. Um, and I used basically, I think you had Latias, and I would Tailwind Healing Wish into Tapu Lele, and it was just so because no one's expecting someone to run 2 Tailwinders and just run a choice specs on Tapu Lele and to just break through everything that way. And really, I think that's the beauty of the draft. You're not dealing with this incredibly large meta that you have to prepare everything for. You have the ability to tailor yourself to single opponents, and you're going to have very non-traditional weaknesses, and that gives you the ability to have very non-traditional strengths. So you're gonna I like I may have, my picks don't really have the ability to come up with, really interesting sets. I definitely went with more traditional picks, stuff that's kind of more viable, but you dig deep enough and you're going to see some pretty interesting stuff that could potentially come out. Um, when I forgot who was running Nidoking last season,
Me too.
but you too. Okay, so
Yeah.
I came up with a defensive
Jason.
Nidoking set to Wall Zero Aura, and it was just, I mean, I think most things were dealing like 12% damage, and with the Black Sludge, it was just healing right back up, and that thing was incredible. Mostly because you could set up rocks and spikes just right on Zero Aura, and I like it's just like I was saying. I think the great thing about drafting is that you basically you're limited to a certain number of Pokemon, but because of that, you have to come up with things that haven't necessarily been tried before. The sets are gonna get interesting. Anyways, I've taken up enough of y'all's time.
No, no, I
Y'all
love
should,
this. I
y'all
love
should
this.
move on because I can talk all freaking day. But yeah, no. Essentially, once I got past Lopunny, it was just finding a good defensive core. I've run Regenerator cores in the past. Slowbro and Amoonguss have great synergy. Clefable, I just ended up picking up because I was very Weavile weak. Even though Weavile can run Poison Jab, Clefable's good enough to, I think, survive at least one. Um, and after that, it was basically like shoring up a couple of holes. Hoopa can also break on the special attacking side, which was something else I wanted. Because Shandy and Rotom Mo were kind of my only special attackers. I just have great. I've always loved Empoleon. Its biggest weakness is it has no reliable recovery, but it has middling stats. It really benefits from its defensive typing. But at the end of the day, it's a good Stallmon with the Steel type, so you're not gonna get toxicked out. At the end of the day, and I think that's really the benefit there. On top of that, I needed another defogger. Alolan Muck, I was just looking. So my only dark type until then was Tyranitar. You really need to prepare for Megazam, particularly my team, I think, is really Megazam weak. Um, and Alolan Muck really holds up that particular weakness. So that was the main kind of pick there. Like after Empoleon, all of that is basically what are my weaknesses. Wheezing, you get down to tier 5 and you're wondering, okay, what do I have available? What's gonna work for me? So at the end of the day, I went with something that was a defensive type, something that, despite being in like the bottom tier dredges, still can show up against some of the stronger offensive types, and Weezing has always been able to do that. Can run Will-O-Wisp. Mono Poison with Levitate is great typing. Just great defensively overall. You're really only worried about Psychic at that point. And I've got Tyranitar, who is a dark type. I've got Alolan Muck, who brings on that dark type. Chandelure, no Psychics really want to switch into that. No Psychics are going to want to switch into Hoopa. So I think I kind of covered all of my bases there. Could I have done better? Maybe. I think a big weakness was probably just going so physically offensive at the beginning. I had considered going Blacephalon over Tyranitar, but at the end of the day, I just don't really vibe with Blacephalon. He's not a Pokemon that I'm super familiar with, and on top of that, I kind of like the bulky offensive a little more rather than all out HO. I think you have a little more room for error if you're running bulky, particularly in a draft where you're not necessarily going to see a bunch of traditional sets. And you really want that leeway. You want something that can take a few hits and you're like, oh, I didn't realize this thing could run this because, you know, who runs like Tailwind on 2 Pokemon? Who's, what's a, at the end of the day, yeah, basically a bulky offense, I think, gives you a lot of room to make mistakes, especially in the initial stages where you're basically just round robining trying to get to the playoffs. Anyways, that's my bit.
Thank you so much. I love that. I just love people talking about Pokemon, and I think the draft format opens up a lot more opportunities that normally would not be there. Because yeah, you're right. Like the meta will usually command like a big deal of Pokemon that everybody will have that you'll need to have checks for every single battle you make, where now it's just like, all right, we have this specific like unique, like no one else has this team, and now you're just like, how do I counter that? And I think that makes Pokemon a lot more fun, and I appreciate it.
No, for sure. And it's the tier system is really interesting in that you really have those lower tier Pokemon are definitely going to be the make or break, and it's incredible what's in those lower tiers. I mean, you've got Entei, who's just great offensively. Mienshao was a huge mainstay in Gen 5, just huge offensive capacity, U-turn, regenerator, mono fighting. I mean, its downfall was basically the introduction of Fairy type. You've got a Tentacool being a tier 4 Pokemon. That's just crazy for me to conceptualize. Arcanine, that was one I had thought about drafting as one of my tier 3s, Arcanine, just because it's a fire type with Intimidate and it gets access to Teleport. So I could have had a grass, water, fire defensive core all with Teleport if that was, what I was aiming for. But there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff that goes down this season. That's what I'm anticipating. Anyways, I'm going to continue drinking my beers.
All right, yeah, you enjoy that, and thank you so much for coming on and talking Pokemon, and hopefully we'll have you on again in the future.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Glad to see you in the season later.
All right, sick.
All right.
That was awesome. She's great. I can't wait to have her on some more for like battle nights and stuff if she wants to come on. But yeah, now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go into Nick and my teams, and then I think we're gonna take a little bit of a short break to make sure that we kind of.
Because we've been doing this for 2 hours.
Yeah, and we still have the second division. But we'll.
Remember when this was going to be a short stream, and I told you this might take a little while.
yeah, but I'm having fun still, so let's.
No, I'm having
Let's
fun
keep going.
No worries.
I think what we should do. I think I should start off sort of talking about your team, just so that you don't like have all your secrets thrown out there immediately. Or if you want to, that's fine.
I'm willing to talk about what I'm not.
All right, yeah, absolutely. But I think it'd be interesting to have us talk about each other's teams first, and then maybe we can go into.
Sure.
All right, so first thing I see there is Medicham, which is kind of like it has the same sort of high jump kick, fake out scariness that Lopunny possesses, except it also has that psychic stab, which makes Zen Headbutt an interesting choice. So I love to see that on your team, and by that I mean I'm scared to see that on your team. It was a mainstay of Tara's team, which ended up being second in the championship running, so spooky. And you know what else is spooky? Probably the bane of my existence, and the thing that actually made me pissed off at you last season, which is Chansey. Fuck you. I hate Chansey so much. It has its abilities make it so basically you cannot put any status on it. Its HP is crazy to begin with, and it has ways to recover itself extremely reliably. It can also has ways to deal status effects on you very reliably to make you sad. So it can slow you down with Thunder Wave. It can toxic you if it wants to, and I don't like it. It's not very fun. It also has an entry hazard in Stealth Rock. Like, what the fuck? Okay. I don't like it, but it's a good pick. So, and we move on, and it's like you got Superior, who is kind of it's kind of like a one trick pony, kinda, because Contrary and Leaf Storm, but I mean it's a reliable trick. I mean, Contrary makes it so that Leaf Storm also manages to raise your special attack. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna use this extremely powerful, I think 140 attack move, and then also you end up getting your stats boosted for that. So I don't like that. And also its speed is very reliable with the 113. Let me look
It's
through
one
here.
trick, but when your one trick doubles in power every time you use it, it's a scary trick.
Yeah, it's a scary trick. And then we see like Pokemon going deeper into here. I see Alolan Ninetales, which was a Pokemon that like I was pretty into. In the first season that I kind of was considering drafting then. Yeah, if you use it in the right team, like that fairy type access is very scary. And like the Aurora Veil Snow Cloak, is it the Snow Warning that makes Blizzard? It's scary.
No warning.
Yeah, Snow Warning gives you the hail on the field, which you can utilize with Aurora Veil to make it really bulky. And yeah, it's scary boy. And also it's pretty, so I like it a lot. And we see a Ribombee, who you used last season to really just fuck with people with your spicy sticky webs. And I don't like those, but just not, you're very
Player Ribombee.
you like to utilize speed trapping. You really like to utilize things that make sure that your opponents are not going to be going before you, no matter how fast their Pokemon are. And that's really scary, and you do it very well, and it makes me sad. I know that Sleepy was very upset about you taking Crawdaunt. I want to look at this Pokemon a little bit more. Yeah, this is a Pokemon that has extremely good attack and like decent defense, but overall it's not very bulky because its special defense is absolute shit. But yeah, it can Swords Dance, it can Aqua Jet, and it's also a very reliable knockoff user, so that's always scary. Knockoff being a huge part of the meta to make sure that you don't have an item, or your opponent doesn't have an item. So yeah, let me look through this a little bit more. You got Metagross, which is tier 4, but like for a tier 4 Pokemon, it's hard to get better base stats than Metagross. A reliable Psychic type option on your team, and it's also a Steel type, so that helps defensively. Yeah, its defense is amazing, and special defense is not half bad. Let me look through here some more. I mean, Aerodactyl is pretty good. You got the Ghost type option and Cofagrigus, which I never like to say because it has a very mean word in the middle of it, and I have to like make sure that I have the syllables correct. And also Dragapult. Oh, let's talk about Dragapult. So let me bring Dragapult up here. Fantastic typing on this thing. Ghost. Oh man, it's not here. Give me a second. It's fantastic typing on this thing. It's a great Ghost option, but also a fantastic Dragon option. This thing was on Eric's team, and like Dragon Darts would kill everything. But it also has access to like Shadow Ball that can run very, very well. It can pivot with U-turn. It has a lot of coverage with moves like Flamethrower, Thunder, Hydro Pump. These are things that this thing can run alongside its typical stab moves. And it's become a huge Pokemon in the meta after Gen 8 came out. So overall, I think your draft went fantastically, including this Ice Cube pick, which I don't know anything about Ice Cube, so if you want to talk about that and why you picked that, that'd be really interesting, I think.
I thought it would be funny.
It was
and
funny.
It was. So Ice Cube's got the fun ability, Snow Face or Ice Face or whatever stupid thing it is. It's honestly the most egregious Pokemon design ever, I think. It's just a penguin with an Ice Cube on its head. But its Ice Cube head stupid thing, it functions as like a substitute for physical attacks, essentially. So it negates like the first physical attack that hits it. And it comes back under Hail, which, hey, I have Ninetales. So I was like, why not? I will never use this Pokemon ever except maybe right now. So I thought it would be funny. I thought it might be an interesting niche pick to just bring on and try to make use of if I'm like not feeling a week or if I'm clinched playoffs already and just kind of want to experiment. But looking at some of my higher tier picks again, I'll talk about Dragapult for a second. When I got back into the competitive scene for Sword and Shield and discovered that Dragapult was a thing, I instantly fell in love with it. I love this thing so much. It's so fast. It's got Dragon Ghost typing, which is so fun. And it's like another one of those rare Pokemon, like I mentioned earlier about Tapu Koko, where it can function on the physical or the special side pretty effectively. And I went, damn, I would love to use this. And I didn't get it last season. I tried to get Eric to trade it to me. He said no, which is understandable because it's great. But at the point where we got to the end of round 1, and it was my turn to pick, I went, well, everyone else has kind of drafted tier 1 already except Jay, and I am okay with whatever ends up being left over after Jay picks, because the Zeraora is what you had. So if you had picked Dragapult, I still could have picked up Zeraora, and I would have been happy with that, because it's also another very good tier 1 Pokemon. So I decided that I would get the jump on the next tier. I just grabbed my Mega Pokemon that round and saved Dragapult for last. I'm so glad I did, because it really made drafting early on a lot less difficult overall, and I got my hands on a good tier 1 Pokemon anyway, and I just saved it for the end. And that's an interesting thing that, like, when we switched over to this tier system, I kind of expected this would happen, but I was glad we could make use of like a more interesting, like more complex drafting strategy during this. And you can see like this sort of same thing happens a lot in the other rounds for different tiers and whatnot, and in Division 2, where people save higher tier Pokemon for later, even though it's technically sort of like a disadvantage. So I thought it was a fun, neat thing. Metacham, like you said before, kind of fills out the same role as Lopunny, but it's got Pure Power, which is like very similar to Mawile, where it's got the double physical attack. I thought to myself, well, Mega Lucario got sent to the Shadow Realm for good reason. So what's Mega Lucario, but just not quite the same thing? So I picked up Mega Metacham, and I thought to myself, I'm good at speed control. Most of my opponents who I've like done really well against stay afterwards. Wasn't expecting that team to be so fast, so I thought I'll draft a slower Mega again and use speed control to just kind of make good use of it. So a lot of my Pokemon on this team are like high speed stats. I got like Superior and Ninetales, Aerodactyl, Ribombee, that sort of thing. So I'm just planning to kind of make use of that strategy again. But I've got like more niche Pokemon that I'm interested in taking a look at. Cofagrigus is a really cool Pokemon. I think that's going to be this season's Ribombee. I think it's going to be a really neat one that ends up being a lot more useful than expected. It's just a really cool Pokemon, I think. And then, yeah, I picked Chansey and Rotom and Ribombee up again from last season just because they're really good, like, utility Pokemon that I don't think ever really got, like... I don't think anyone ever really dealt with them last season. I lost sometimes with them on my team, but they were never the reason. They never failed me. So I feel very comfortable with these three. Chansey, I'm just going to bully you with Chansey. I'm only bringing Chansey to the fight when I end up inevitably facing you, Jay. And if I lose, that's okay. I'll make it a 50-turn game anyway.
I mean, we'll talk about my team later. I have some stall options. Yeah, I like your draft. I think you did pretty well. I like the new Pokemon that you picked. I hate the old Pokemon you picked, so that means that you're doing something right. Yeah, and I like the Esky pick.
Crawdaunt. Suck it, Sleepy. I needed a water and a dark type still, and I decided against picking Greninja, so I picked up Crawdaunt.
All right, you want to move to my team?
Yeah. Let's talk about Zeraora. I fucking hate Zeraora. Let's talk about why. It's really fast. Number 1, shouldn't be that fast. Number 2, has Plasma Fists. What does that do, you might ask? Turns every normal type move that round into an electric type move. Not usually important, but can be when Zeraora has fucking Volt Absorb. You can't hit it with normal type moves because it might absorb them. A normal type move. That's dumb. And good. Anyway. It's not like the craziest offensive, but it's got a really respectable 112 stat, and it's got a lot of different moves that it can take advantage of with that. It's got knockoff, it's got like fighting type moves, it's got Plasma Fist, which I mentioned earlier, that like 100 base power, perfect accuracy stab that it can just pull out just because. You can't stop it, you can't tell it no, it's just going to hit you in the face. It's got pivot options. It's really good as just an offensive backbone for a team because you are always going to have to respect it. And you are always going to have to like plan for it in advance. If you don't, it will kill you because its base speed is 143. So definitely super crazy. You look down, like the next 2 picks are water types because they just can be. Zeraora will absorb electric type moves that you use, so like that's half their weaknesses just gone. So why not pick up water types? Hey, you drafted Pyukumuku. I'm gonna kill your sea urchin, Jay. I don't.
It's a cucumber.
I'm not gonna. It's a cucumber.
It's a sea cucumber.
I'm gonna kill your little fish man. Okay. Like I'm not. I feel like you drafted it for style points. I feel like you're gonna kill somebody with that innards out ability, and you're gonna just fucking Fortnite dance on it.
It's something
really
I would do. I would
funny,
Fortnite dance. I always Fortnite dance.
I don't want it to be me. But like you were saying earlier about having stall ability, this thing's defenses are surprisingly really good, even if its HP isn't, and it's got a lot of like depth to its move pool for stall. There's a lot of niche things it's got in there too. Drafting it round 2, maybe not something I would have done, but hey,
because
we'll
you're
see
weak.
how
You're
it
weak
works for you
willed.
this season.
You're weak.
Eldio showed up round 3. That's one that I remember you saying at the beginning of last season. It was something you're really comfortable with, and you got your hands on it this time, which is very solid. It's not bad at all in terms of speed. It's a great special attacker to complement Zeraora's physical attack, and I think it gets flip turn now after Gen 8, which is a really good like another pivot move, which means your 2 like premier offensive Pokemon can just pivot out of the way for each other, which is really good synergy. Not only that, but it gets like Secret Sword, which targets defense and sort of special defense, which means you can like pop through things like, oh, I don't know, Chansey, fuck you. And then of course it's got like access to all the normal crazy stuff like Hydro Pump. It's got ice moves. It can set up. It's just a really good Pokemon. Yeah, very reliable. Klefki, it's a prankster user. It's Steel Fairy type, which is an excellent defensive typing. Even though it's kind of frail, just like by its stats, it can make up for that a little bit. And then, of course, just being able to spread status and whatnot with Klefki is very useful with prankster. Being a fairy type with prankster, that means you can tell dark types to fuck off. That usually would go, hey, I don't wanna be pranked. I don't want to be epic pranked. So a good pick there, definitely. You've got Zygarde 10%, very good. That ground dragon type that we've been talking about a lot. It's got 1,000 arrows, which means it can knock things out of the air, which is a unique thing to it. Very solid. Umbreon's a good defensive choice. Dark mono type means it's like really only weak to fighting bug, I think. Fighting's a little more common, but bug not so much, really, throughout this draft at the very least. Tapu Fini, another great defensive choice, and can lay down that Misty Train. Maybe a little counterproductive to Klefki and Pyukumuku's whole deal. It's not going to really fit on a stall team. But if you're not looking to do stall, if you're looking to just use it purely defensively with your offensive Pokemon, it's a good thing. Like, we have 12 Pokemon here. Obviously, not everybody's going to show up to every game. So being able to switch modes and like bring different Pokemon is very solid. And again, like we mentioned earlier with Primarina, Water Fairy is a great defensive typing. Like, it's hard to bust through. You have to have very specific Pokemon for it. And guess what? Electric types, Zeraora is going to absorb their bullshit again. So it's like, why bother? Just give up. Surrender to the Pokemons. Meloetta and Florges are interesting choices. I think you switched out Florges.
Yeah, I don't have Florges anymore. I switched out Florges and Decidueye, so instead of them, I have Roserade and Avalugg.
That's right. Yeah, interesting choices for sure. Meloetta, I'm not even sure what that thing does, to be honest, but it's one of those mythical Pokemon that shows up. Just taking a quick look at it. Good special defense, good special attack. I don't know how it switches forms. I don't know if it's legal for us to switch forms. I'm sure it is. It's probably
it switches. No, it switches with a move. So it's yeah. Right. So it would be legal,
hard
I
to
believe.
Deal with. Why would you make things hard to deal with, Jay? Huh? Why would you do this to me?
Because it's cute and you're a psychic type of user.
I see.
And it's good, I think. I want to use it. I'm very excited for it.
I see. In any case, yeah, I guess being able to switch between being a special attacker and a physical attacker is pretty solid, and then if it can switch, it's got crazy speed, so that's pretty nasty altogether. Interesting typing going on. You definitely used Tapu Lele to great effect last season, so having like another psychic type that's pretty strong in the special attack department, definitely something we know Jay can use. Roserade being the alternative to Florges here. Just having a good poison type on your team is always solid. Having a grass poison type, even better. I know Roserade can lay down toxic spikes, which is always a very useful hazard. And that's definitely nothing to sneeze at in terms of just like a dangerous grass type. You picked up Latios Mega. Which...
I actually changed that one too. That one's it's a Mega
that's
Diancie
right.
now.
It's Diancie.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you picked up Mega Diancie, I was like, ha, dumb mistake. And then I remembered Mega Diancie has great stats. And I went, fuck. 110 base speed is like, very solid, but its attacking stats are both 160, which is crazy. And it's got magic bounce. So it's got like utility, it's got great offensive presence. It's got the unique move Diamond Storm, which is great for, just running things through that you normally wouldn't expect. So you can kind of just invest special attack wise and just knock things over with Moonblast, Diamond Storm. It's got like other good utility. It's got other type coverage that it can hit. It can hit Stealth Rocks, so it's very solid altogether. Rock Fairy is a unique typing, I think. So being able to just kind of send it out, and you really, you're weak to Steel type moves for sure on this thing. But it's not so slow that it's going to be like incredibly crippling, and its defenses are surprisingly good. So unless you're walking into a fast Steel type, you're not in a bad position at all. A lot of Steel types get like Bullet Punch as a priority move, but because it's only like 40 base power, you might be able to play around that for the most part, considering its defenses are so good. But I'll be interested to see how this thing plays this season. We didn't see it last season, I don't think, so it's gonna be pretty neat. And then Entei, and what was your last switch? Avalugg?
Yeah, Avalugg.
Yeah, Entei's a slower, more powerful pick, and I think just having a solid fire type on your team is just, a good hole that I think needed patching with this, and Entei's no slouch, despite being tier 4. And then Avalugg's very slow, but it's a bulky ice type, which is kind of neat. I'm pretty sure it's got its like fair share of hazards it can set up. It's a spinner, and then it's got crazy defense. It's got 184 base defense. Hey Jay, why do you need 184 base defense? What are you gonna do with all that defense?
Listen, season 1, I was all speed and attack with no defense. I'm doing something a little different here with at least a good chunk of my Pokemon.
Jay's gonna stall me out with an iceberg, and I'm gonna have to sit there and look at an iceberg named like Bucket or something.
His name's actually King Sized Mattress.
I forgot. That's hilarious. I'm gonna have to look at an iceberg named King Sized Mattress as my Pokemon died of poison. This is gonna be really sad.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for that was really thorough and cool. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to go a little bit more halvesies with the extra Pokemon. I wanted something that can kind of like pivot into a defensive aligned team, or if it wants to, it could pivot into an attacking aligned team very effectively. So I got a few Pokemon like Avalugg and Pyukumuku, who are very good stall defensive, like hard to beat down Pokemon. I've especially I did draft Pyukumuku very high, but that's just because like it's such a hard Pokemon to like plan a team around. So like Pyukumuku it has a lot of usefulness in a cleric like Umbreon and like defensive Pokemon like Avalugg, and also an ability like Magic Bounce. And I really wanted to use it, so I was like, I'm gonna draft it a little bit earlier. And I've learned a lot of different stuff that Pyukumuku can do. It's actually like surprisingly versatile in the way it can use, in the ways it can like set up its moveset to be like interesting and like frustrating, or like there's like various different ways you can run a Pyukumuku. And I love that little sea cucumber fuck. I named him Poseidon because I thought they would be funny in like an ironic way. But no, I think I can do a lot with Pyukumuku, and even if I don't, I think I can have fun trying to do a lot with Pyukumuku. And like I don't like, there's so many strong people here that like I can see myself having a hard time in this league. So like at the end of the day, like having fun with unusual Pokemon is something that I really enjoy. So I was like, fuck it, let's try to make a team with Pyukumuku as one of those stars and see if I can do that, or if I have to use something different. Zeraora was like a secondary thing. I'm not gonna like reveal like my straight up like strategies or anything. But Zeraora is something, because I really wanted an electric type to pair with Pyukumuku. And Tapu Koko was like the premier one that I wanted to get with that. But because I couldn't get him, I looked to Zeraora and I was like, he can work equally as fine, probably. So I picked Zeraora first, and I think that would be, just in general, he's a good Pokemon, and like in the ways I want to use him, I think he'll be even cooler. Keldeo was a Pokemon that I really wanted last season. So I ended up like being like, all right, I'll get another water type, because it's also a fighting type, so it crosses that off my list. So it's not entirely a redundant thing, and also because Pyukumuku does not do like, I'm not going to be sending out Pyukumuku and using Hydro Pump, so I still need like a good water type user. So I was like, all right, I'll have this offensive Sword Horse that can also use some really great stab type fighting attacks, and like as you said, it can pivot between Zeraora in it with those pivot moves, so that's extremely useful. And then so I set my sights on Klefki, who is a good status type, and spiker, due to its prankster ability and just its great typing, and I think it's really fun as a keyring. I think like I wanted something where like I'm one of those people that like if I think a Pokemon like is too like unappealing to look at, I don't want it. Like, and I'm kind of like that in Animal Crossing too, I guess. I don't know, maybe that's mean. And I'm not gonna say I don't want it, but like I definitely wanted to like make a team that was like fun as like on aesthetic reasons as well as like on power reasons. So I was like, oh, this is a fun like silly key ring with Prankster and he steals your keys. It's such a fun Pokemon concept. So I was like, I gotta pick him because he's like good. He fills like an area that I don't have and that I would like to have as a status prankster spiker entry hazard sort of Pokemon. So I was like, let's take Klefki. And then Zygarde 10. I was really tossed up between Zygarde 10 and Flygon, but then I read like about what Thousand Arrows does, and just in general, like I think it's just a Pokemon that hasn't been used in our league yet. And as a legendary and as a Pokemon with like a really good speed, I was like, all right, I gotta go for that thing. Umbreon was my cleric, as I said, that I wanted to pair with Pyukumuku. I think every team, especially if you have 12 Pokemon that you're running, I think every team should have some kind of cleric, and I think Umbreon's one of the best at doing that. Tapu Fini was a Pokemon that I saw as like you saw in Division 2, as we'll talk about later. It was drafted first round. I think it's a very fantastic Pokemon, and I was looking at it in round 7. I could have held off because I realized that I was the last person with a tier 2 left, but I was like, I was in work, so I was like not really paying attention as much as I probably would have liked to. So I ended up picking that. I might change it later on, because like the one bad thing that I have, I think, is my over-reliance on water and fairy. I have a good chunk of Pokemon with water and fairy, so I might try to diversify. Because that's why I got rid of Florges. I really like Florges. I think Florges is, if you look at its stats, I think it's like a really interesting Pokemon. But it was just a monotype fairy, and I have so many fairy type Pokemon, so I was like, I gotta get rid of it, sadly. So yeah, Meloetta is a Pokemon, my psychic type user. I was just like really intrigued by this Pokemon because Smogon, when you look at its overview, it just shits on it. Like, Smogon hates Meloetta, but that's only because it's in the context of its tier. So it's in the context of underused. Because Meloetta is one of those Pokemon that's like, in the underused meta, it was not fantastic, or it is not fantastic, but it is still on the RU ban list. So I thought that was a great Pokemon to pick up in tier 4. And yeah, it has two forms that I can use that directly contradict one another. So like I can, if I wanted to use up a move to get that form change, then I can like switch it from a special attacker to a physical attacker, and I think that has a lot of scary potential to it, and I really am excited to have that on my team, and I'm really excited that I was able to get that on my team. And like DNC, that's a Pokemon that I was actually looking up like normal DNC, and I was like, that thing's in tier 5, and I realized that like a lot of it had to do with its HP plus its speed. Like it has really bad speed, normal DNC. I was so close to pressing enter on normal DNC for my last pick, and then I just looked through the list one more time, and I realized that Mega DNC wasn't banned. And for some reason, I thought that Mega DNC was banned, and I was like, oh shit. I gotta trade for that thing later. So I ended up picking Decidueye instead for my last pick, and I ended up switching Decidueye with Avalugg, who, as I said, fantastic defensive Pokemon, so I really wanted another defensive option. And yeah, last Pokemon there is Entei, and Entei was just like, I really wanted to, like, with these last ones, I really just wanted to get my coverage up with that Water and Fairy kind of over-reliance. So I got a Fire type, and then I got a Grass and Poison type, and I think just like Roserade and Entei are just two Pokemon that are decent in general, especially for the tiers that I got them at. Roserade can be a Spiker if it wants to. It has that Poison potential. It has Grass. It's like a very powerful special attacking Grass Pokemon. And then Entei is very good. Is a very powerful Fire type Pokemon. So I ended up getting, I think, late draft picks that ended up being very useful Pokemon for types that I was severely lacking in. So overall, I love my draft, especially since I was able to get those free agents that kind of helped shore up my team. Maybe I'll dip into the free agency later, but so far I'm pretty happy with what I got. And yeah, I'm really, really, really excited for this season.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So,
Alright, guys. So we're gonna take a break for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes here at least, and then we'll go into Division 2 a little bit. We might go a little faster with it, just because we've been running for a bit already here, and we don't wanna run for another 2 hours on the next division. We'll be up pretty late. But yeah, we'll be right back. We'll try to knock out some of the more interesting parts of Division 2's draft.
all right, we'll see you in a bit.
Hey, gamers.
Hello. I went to my backup starting soon screen. So a whole different like music started playing. But hi everybody. We're gonna
Welcome back, gamers. We're going to go over Division 2 a little bit here. If there's anybody from Division 2 who does want to talk about their team, we are going to be a little quicker going over this, just so we don't go super late with this, or later than we already have, rather. But if there is anybody who wants to talk about their team, just let us know, and we'll get you in here. You can talk about your team real quick. Other than that,
let's get into it. So let's start with Wild. Wild was in last season. Now he comes back and gets that first overall pick, which was a big, cool thing. And who did he pick but Garchomp, which was a Pokemon that got talked about a lot already.
yeah. Wild had a difficult season last time, partially because he got seeded against a lot of our more experienced players just throughout the season, and I think he had a difficult start just going into it and just didn't get better from there. Now that we've got a division separation going on, he's going to see a lot of improvement, especially with all the improvement he actually made during last season. But yeah. Garchomp we've talked about it's got that Dragon Ground typing. It's gonna, I think, combo pretty well with his next couple of Pokemon. It's a decently fast physical attacker, like we've talked about. And then, of course, we've got Gardevoir and Thundurus, which are, like, decently fast special attackers. And I think they're going to make a potent, like, pairing for offense. And the rest of his team is pretty well balanced. You see, like, Glasgow and Magnazone, which are good physical defenders, and Volcanion, which has an interesting defensive typing. It's a interesting and diverse team that Wild's kind of put together for himself.
Gliscor was one of the Pokemon. Was it drafted in Division 1? It's a Pokemon that I would expect to kind of get some look.
I don't think it was drafted this season in Division 1 at least. I think it was on CJ's team last season.
Yeah, CJ tore shit with it. He used it really effectively, so maybe Wild saw something there and he was like, I want to try that out. And like Gliscor can be fantastic. It used to be really just like a big part of the metagame and just like making people cry with its toxic orb usage, but also there's multiple sets that you can use for a Gliscor that can really utilize its potential. So great pick there for fourth.
Yeah, definitely. It's physically bulky. It's got Poison Heal and can stall, where you can like use like certain setup moves. It's got good offensive typing if you need it to be. It's a good Pokemon. Let's move on to Ripped.
All right, what's a Pokemon that catches your eye?
Shifu Rapid Strike.
Yeah.
Bane of a lot of teams last season when Sock tore them apart. It's got that crazy move that always crits, and it's a 3-hit move. On top of that, it's got the ability that negates Protect entirely. So it's basically going to be, hey, you're going to get hit by this unless you can like literally do something about it immediately. So it's very scary to deal with. Luckily, we banned Urshifu Single Strike, who is a little bit scarier, but still, it's Rapid Strike, brother. Nothing to be trifled with. We see Garchomp Mega as Rip's second pick, another very strong physical attacker. I think Garchomp Mega is actually slower than base Garchomp, but it's stronger by quite a bit, and it makes well use of that Sand Force ability. Definitely is a very strong, scary Pokemon to deal with. So, two slower but very strong physical attackers are Rip's kind of like central offensive Pokemon.
Yeah, definitely. And then let me look at this some more real quick. I saw that she drafted Manaphy, which is a Pokemon that I rate highly. Its Tail Glow potential can really catch you off guard. You definitely need to plan for Manaphy, or else it will sweep you, no problem. And Chandelure we talked about a lot. Celebi, that core of tier 3s I think are really fun Pokemon to utilize, and I think Ripped will have a good time learning them and like getting good at them, and then making people very sad that she's using them, because Chandelure has that fantastic special attack. Celebi can hit pretty hard, but it can also be utilized in recovery duties. It can be utilized in a few different duties. I can use Perish Song, which is something I didn't really discuss the last Celebi pick, but Perish Song is something that if you're locked with a Celebi at the end of the game, it can make it so it can basically stall you out, no problem. So Perish Song Celebi is dangerous as well. And then you go down and you see Sylveon, and Sylveon's a very good cleric as well. So I love Rip's team, and she even brought back Crobat, which makes it a fantastic sort of cherry on top.
Yeah, very interesting and pretty decently balanced team. Like two of those base like all 100 stat Pokemon. A little on the slower side overall, but definitely a lot of strong offensive presence and a very good diversity for typing, all the way like down to the lower tiers. So very interesting team. I forgot Mega Garchomp's attack is 170.
Yeah,
That's disgusting.
I saw that. It's crazy.
That's obscene.
That's worth the 10 drop in speed, I would think. Especially with that increased special attack option too. It could just has 120 special attack. You can just switch up on it. There's a lot of utility with this thing.
You can just bring Draco Meteor and like, what are they gonna do? Say no?
Yeah, it's illegal. All right, let's move on to Levi. And I like this first pick actually. I really like the Toxapex first pick. Just going in there and going for this defensive, really hard to kill Pokemon. Just Baneful Bunker. There's so many interesting things that you can do with this thing. It can poison you and also recover itself. It can spike you if it wants to. And it can scald you, which means that there's a possibility that it can hit you with a burn and make it really hard and just like make you a lot more passive than you once were. And also it has Regenerator on top of all of that, so it can regenerate itself. A very scary Pokemon. And I think like in a world of a lot of really hard-hitting first picks, I think it was fun that Levi was like, I'm going to go a different route here. I'm going to pick one of the best defensive Pokemon in the game so far. And he was like, I'm going to use this Toxapex. So great pick, I think. What else is in here? It looks like...
on Toxapex, I'm really glad that nobody in Division 1 drafted Toxapex, if I'm being entirely honest. I don't want to deal with it. It's like, its defenses are insane. Poison Water's a great defensive typing. And like you said, Regenerator is just the cherry on top. It's got a great move pool for punishing just like passive play and like letting you run yourself dead against it. And it can support a lot of like different Pokemon in your team. So it's a very like for being a defensive pick in Tier 1, it's still like it definitely makes itself worth the Tier 1 pick.
Yeah, and I mean obviously it's still a free agent, so if anybody thinks that they find this interesting, well there you go. You have that option.
Hey, don't.
It is a Tier 1,
This
so you
has
have
been
to
a PSA.
use that.
Yeah.
What other Pokemon we got here? Whimsicott we've talked about. Ditto. Blissey. How about Blissey?
We talked about Blissey a little bit, I think, earlier when Petra was going over her Blissey Skarmory defensive core. We don't see... we see Blissey Shuckle here on Anarchy's team. Not necessarily the defensive powerhouse, the type powerhouse, but it's definitely going to take advantage of Blissey's special defense and Shuckle's physical defense being very cooperative. We see Mega Sableye on Anarchy's team here, and that's an interesting one. Mega Sableye has got the Magic Bounce ability, which often makes it very useful on defensive teams because it is a very defensive Pokemon with a very strange typing. So it's already, solid for a stall team, but then it's also got the ability to bounce back like status or taunts or anything of that sort with its Magic Bounce ability. So very interesting pick for this team, especially for supporting some of these more defensive mons. You'll see Shed Ninja, which is an interesting choice. Kind of difficult to use in a draft league like this, where you know what your opponent is going to have ahead of time, the 12 choices essentially they have to bring into the battle. But if you catch somebody unaware with Shed Ninja going into it, and they aren't prepared, there's not a lot they can do to stop you.
Yeah, I mean, Shedinja is, at the very least, what Levi is saying is you have to plan around this thing. Because if I bring it once and you haven't planned around this thing, you're screwed. I win this battle. So there's this powerful statement, at least, in Shedinja's pick. But yeah, definitely, this is a very defensively oriented team, and I really appreciate that. Mega Sableye, Like, for the longest time, Ghost and Dark didn't even have a type that was super effective against it. Before Fairy, like, you couldn't hit a Sableye super effectively. Now it's a little bit easier, but still, it's just one type, so it's a fantastic defensive typing, along with Magic Bounce.
Now it's a little bit possible, but yeah, Sableye is still definitely a strong choice.
All right, let's move on to Reno. And it's like Tapu Koko is a Pokemon we talked about extensively. It's a Pokemon that he used fantastically. I think he had a comeback with Tapu Koko later in the season. But yeah, I like this Pokemon a lot. I like this choice for him.
Fast team here. There may be some problems in... I guess if we use National Dex, anything goes. There shouldn't be a problem bringing in 2 Alakazams with one of them having the Mega Stone. But that's still a very interesting choice in Pokemon, having both Alakazams on your team. But like Mega Alakazam's like base speed 150, Tapu Koko's 130, Regieleki is base speed 200. Alakazam normal is no slouch on speed either. Just a bunch of fast attackers. Just be like, you can go into the match and you know you will be playing first. You got Aerodactyl down there as well. I also drafted that. That thing's base 130 speed. This is a fast team, and I think Reno knows that.
Yeah, definitely. There shouldn't be any problem moving first. I did tell Reno that when because he did have that concern that like, will it allow me to have that? And I was like, worst comes to worst, we can put you in the most like the one that we used to run, where like literally like you can do anything. There's no rules. And I said we can just put you in there and then just make sure that nobody's like breaking anything. So we'll just have to be extra diligent if that happens. But I don't think it will happen. We'll see. But yeah, Regieleki is the one Pokemon that can outspeed my Zeraora. So it's scary. Very scary.
Some Mega Pokemon can outspeed.
That's true.
Zeraora
That's true.
as
Yeah.
well. Mega Alakazam and Mega Aerodactyl are both 150 base speed, I believe. But again, those are niche choices and they're pretty frail.
All right. Anything else here? Or you want to move on?
Yeah, we can move on. I will say it's very sad that Reno didn't get Tentacruel. It's very sad.
How dare you,
You're a
6?
monster. Yeah.
How dare you draft it in round 8? You didn't even give him a chance. You didn't give him time to draft Tentacruel. He only had 8 rounds. All right, let's move on.
He only had the better part of a week.
All right, let's move on to mounts. So let's talk about mounts. I like the Celesteela pick first, in my opinion. I think it's fantastic.
Celesteela is so hard to deal with. It's very similar, in my opinion, to Ferrothorn in that it's like a very bulky, slow steel type that has the Leech Seed, so it's got that recovery where it can just basically benefit from very passive playstyle and wait you out. Steel Flying, we talked about earlier with Corvinite, with Skarmory. It's not something you think about, I guess, is Celesteela in that case, or at least I don't. Just because Ultra Beasts are always like on the outskirts of my mind when I'm thinking Pokemon, really. But it's strong. I think it was on Tara's team last season. We did really well with it.
Yeah, and she has other Ultra Beast sort of coverage with Nihilego, and it's that Pokemon and Klefki that really like set up a good sort of entry hazard potential for Mount, because she can use Stealth Rock with Nihilego, and she can use Spikes with Klefki. So there's a lot of like utility options apart from just direct attack. And also like these Beast Boosts are very scary. So now you have 2 Pokemon that can use Beast Boost that are fairly good at what they do. So that's scary. Anything else? I mean, it's good to see Necrozma in there as well.
Yeah, she's got Blacephalon as well.
So she has Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Man, Blacephalon. So she went all out, just like Beast Boost everything. You are all gonna die. But she brought Fridge too.
Is Guzzlord an Ultra Beast? I know it's from like
it
the
is.
same gen.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
Got the same. It is an Ultra Beast.
Yeah.
Hey, no, did you secretly just decide to draft a bunch of Ultra Beasts when we weren't looking?
Just Beast Boost everything.
Yeah.
And she also closed it out with Hatterene, which is fantastic too.
Hatterene's a great Pokemon. Yeah, it's got that magic bounce ability we were talking about earlier. It can do like Trick Room. It's got Fairy Psychic type. It's a very strong special attacker. Love to see it. It's a very interesting newer Pokemon. I'll mention Metagross as well.
Featuring
Beast
Fridge.
Boost Gaming.
I love Fridge
Yeah,
so
we
much.
see we see the Fridge come back from last season. We see Runerigus come back from last season. Some favorites.
And a
Good
Crossman as
Pokemon all
well.
around. Yeah.
All right, let's go into 6. The monster.
Six
Just kidding.
drafted Cinderace. Drafting good Pokemon in Division 2. What is this? We play for fun here. No, I'm kidding. Cinderace is great. We talked all about Cinderace. It's versatile, it fits on any team, and snatching it up when you have the chance, good. Just good strategy. It's going to dominate.
Yeah, and Superior is seen on this team with Gengar, Dragonite. That Aerodactyl Mega could be a big force, and Tentacruel obviously could be a big force. We also see Blaziken Blaze.
Yeah, I think 6 actually dropped Superior.
Oh, yeah.
Check on that.
Yeah, he did. I remember. What did he drop it for?
Yeah,
I forget.
I forget what he dropped it for. I'm pretty sure I logged that too.
I like Cloyster, so there's some defensive
Cloyster.
option there. I respect that.
Cloyster has that. Yeah, Cloyster has Shell Smash, which is it's a predictable strategy, but it's very fucking strong. And on top of that, with Skill Link, so you got like Icicle Spear and all that craziness. You can really combo some strong plays with Cloyster, even though it is a little frail. Well, I guess it's not frail, but you know what I mean. But yeah, you see Aerodactyl Mega on this team. That's a 150 base speed Pokemon with crazy physical attack and a solid pair of offensive stabs. So definitely a scary Pokemon. Swampert's a weird choice, but paired off with like Superior originally, I guess Superior, and then like Cinderace, creates that Fire Water Grass core. A lot of good Pokemon on here.
Yeah,
He stole Tentacruel.
Yeah, he
We
stole
can't forget
Tentacruel. Let's go on to Lemon. He picked, it looks like, Clefable first, which is a laudable pick defensively. Magikarp, we've talked about, is an incredible ability. I also see Tapu Bulu here, which you have tormented me with a lot. Venusaur can work very well in the sun, and Torkoal is here to kickstart that sun. So that's something to look out for, maybe, because that's a fantastic strategy there.
Fun little sun options on this team. Becca made great use of a sun team in this last season, so looks like, excuse me, Lemon might be taking some inspiration from that, and definitely has some good Pokemon for that. Tapu Bulu is one that I did not think was going to be very good last season. It was one of my later drafts. And Tapu Bulu can work defensively and then punch you back. It's real weird. It's a good Pokemon. I like it a lot. I don't know why I switched it out at the end of the season, to be honest.
Yeah, and speaking of punching you back, Zygarde 10 is in there as well, which is a big puncher. One who punches. And Volcarona as well. Wow. There's some offensive potential here, alongside Pokemon like Delmise, who are a little bit more auxiliary.
Volcarona's got one of those premier setup moves in Quiver Dance. It's a very scary Pokemon to deal with in that sense. And then Bugfire is surprisingly potent as an offensive typing.
I've also sung the praises of Espeon. Espeon's a great Pokemon with a lot of abilities to wreak havoc. Great draft.
And Lemon drafted Sirfetch'd, which is a bird with a sword. Can't go wrong.
With a vegetable sword. Because you still have to eat your veggies.
Well, in like a threatening way.
It's like the Duolingo owl of vegetables.
And next up, we've got Kieran, which is my boy Pepsi Max, of course. I'm glad he came back for the season. Glad to see him drafting some of the favorites like Porygon 2. Made great use of that. Did he have Porygon or Porygon 2 last time?
He had Porygon 2.
Yeah. That thing, surprisingly tanky, and then can fire back with just, a host of options. You see Dragapult there, already sung Dragapult's praises, love it. We are now Dragapult Blood Brothers, and nothing will change that unless you drop it, in which case you're dead to me. You see the Lopunny Mega, which is another crazy fast option, so like pair Dragapult and Lopunny on the same team, and now you're basically faster than everyone else in the division, which is super spooky. I think the only person who really like threatens that is Reno. So that'll be an interesting battle to see if that shows up during the season. Yeah. You see Rotom Wash, which you had on your team last season, Jay.
Yeah, it's good to
abandon this time.
Yeah, surprising lack of Rotom Wash in this draft, but good to see it here at least. And I trust Kira to play that really well and make it a viable part of its team. Because like Rotom Wash and Mega Lopunny were a good pair for me as well last time around.
I'm surprised we didn't see Rotom Wash in Division 1. It's a really good Pokemon. I drafted Heat again thinking like maybe I would draft Wash, but I wanted that ground type immune fire electric type because I appreciated that typing like really well last season. But I'm surprised Rotom Wash didn't get picked up.
I think it was a lot of like water and electric being very like sought after types, so it's like people were getting Pokemon in those types, and like after you do that, then there's not as much utility for getting it, even if it is a good pick to have.
Yeah.
All right. I guess let's move on to Connor. Connor's one of our new guys from the Fake Phillies that helped me out in filling out everything. So thank you, Connor, for coming in and giving this a shot. I see Ferrothorn picked Sleepy's go-to pick first, and this is another one of those really just pesky defensive Pokemon that have a fantastic typing to it, as we've talked about. Premier entry hazard Pokemon can run that Leech Seed, really give you a problem, has fantastic recovery at hand, but it also packs a pretty mean Power Whip. So it's like this thing can also hit you if need be. I mean, its 94 attack is not something to take lightly. So if you get something that hits hard, that it can run for stab, then that's dangerous.
Yeah. Going into some of the stuff that we didn't really see in Division 1, Incineroar, one of my favorites just in a static, and also a favorite in like VGC, I'm pretty sure, in the past couple years of that. It's got a good Intimidator. Dark Fire is pretty solid. It's a little slow, but it can be run a little bulkier along with Intimidate to kind of make up for that. So it's a very solid Pokemon, especially to start making a Fire Grass Water Core, which we see with Keldeo next up. You also see Steel, Dark, and Fighting between the three as well, which is another like good type spread that work together really well. So I think those are just really solid Pokemon that synergize well. But then we see Mega Heracross, who has absolutely fucking insane attack. It's 185 base stat. I think that's the highest in the league. That thing hits like an absolute menace. A little slower, but it's got Skill Link too, which we talked about earlier with Cloyster and Chinchino. You get to use things like Rock Blast and Pent Missile and Bullet Seed for maximum efficacy, along with that crazy high attack. So if you can make up for being a little on the slower side, Mega Heracross is going to be a huge wall breaker.
And that thing can run Swords Dance too, so it's like...
Yeah. It's like, in case you wanted to, just double tap, in case you wanted to ensure the kill.
Yeah, and we see... let's see, Frostlass is a decent Ice-type option. For a type that's not very good defensively, I think the Ghost type really helps it a lot, and I think it has some interesting tech to it that will make it a fun Pokemon to use. And Buzzwole,
For sure, yeah.
which is another Ultra Beast. Probably the only Ultra Beast the Mount didn't take. Or no, Kartana also wasn't taken by her.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into our...
Great, because he's a muscle bug.
Yeah,
Just
muscle
Galvantula.
bug.
Everybody flex like Buzzwole.
All right, let's
Good
go
job,
into our last person, which is Obi. Obi drafted Tapu Fini first, which is a Pokemon that I drafted. Yeah, a lot of defensive opportunity with that Pokemon, along with the Mystic Guard, I think it is, or Mist Guard, something like that. I don't know. I don't know Pokemon. You think I know Pokemon just because I'm running a Pokemon
Misty
live
Surge?
stream? Misty
Misty
Surge,
Surge.
yeah.
This is a Pokemon you have on your team, though.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I know what it does, alright? Leave me alone. Yeah, like Tapu
Misty
Fini a lot.
Splurge.
Latios is great. I think I'm surprised we didn't see as much. At least I don't believe we didn't see as much like Latios picking. Maybe we did. I don't know.
We saw Latios on Petra's team. We saw the Megas for Latios and Latias get picked up in Division 1. Latias is defensively oriented, which doesn't really fit its style with the speed tier it's in. Latios kind of fits it a little better. So I'm not as surprised with Latias not getting picked up, but like it is still a good Pokemon. Had we not have been like so constrained by the tiers, maybe it would have gotten, but you know, the rules are a little different this time.
I think it's good because I used
Okay,
it.
then draft it.
Yeah, I will. I'll make sure to do that.
Switch one of your Pokemon for it. Switch out Zygarde.
Not your fucking life. I like Levitate though. Definitely Levitate is something that can be used to really hurt electric type Pokemon in the other team. Or ground type. I'm tired. We've been streaming for 3 hours.
We've been streaming 3 hours.
Yeah. I've talked about how much I love Rhinoculus, and Rotom Heat. You've sung its praises. You like that Pokemon. There's Slowbro as a defensive option. Yeah, a lot of this actually mirrors yours because there's Ninetales, Alolan too.
Yeah, you see, two of the ones from my team here. We see some Regenerator users. We see Landorus, Therian. Very solid balanced team. A lot of great Pokemon with great utility. Maybe lacking... Well, no, we see Mega Scizor, who is a great offensive Pokemon. It's got like that 150 base stat. It's got 2 great types. Technician is crazy for Bullet Punch, for U-Turn.
I believe there's actually a lot of transactions from Obi. So these... Actually, yeah, I forgot. He actually buffed his team a lot. So Latios was actually taken out for Chansey. Rotom Heat was actually taken out for Weavile, and Alola Ninetales was taken out for Skarmory.
Damn, a lot of great Pokemon still sitting around in free agency for Division 2.
And Mega Latios was put on for Scizor. So he kind of did like the reverse that I did Season 1, where I dropped Mega Latios or Mega Latias and then drafted or picked up Latias. He dropped Latios and then upgraded to Mega Latios instead of Mega Scizor. So a lot of moves here. I like Skarmory a lot, and I like Weavile a lot. Those are 2 Pokemon that I ran last season to great effect. Maybe not as much Skarmory, but that's not because I don't love Skarmory. It's just that Skarmory was more defensive, and I was running a really high speed attacking team last season. But if you run a good team for Skarmory to fit into, this is a really fantastic Pokemon to have. A lot of utility options along with the defense. It can be a good entry hazards user. It can use Tailwind and boost your team's speed tremendously. I like this Pokemon a lot, so great choice to switch that out, as much as I love Alolan Ninetales as well.
Definitely.
All right. If there's no other comments, then that is your draft recap for the season. Just a quick 3-hour stream, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I really...
Which team, in your opinion, Jay, is the scariest? Who do you think drafted the scariest team that you don't want to go up against?
Well, I want to maybe in the next few weeks at least, either next week or the week after, I want to get the schedule together, and then maybe we can go over like which team has the best chances. Though I guess I can like kind of go over just like a neutral observation here. For Division 1, let me look at Division 1 here. I gotta scroll my shit up a little bit. I like Sock's team tremendously. But I also think that like both Ghost and Petra, just the 2 people that we brought on, went ahead. They saw that Sock's team was so scary and that Sock is such a scary competitor, and then they planned really well for Sock. So while I say that Sock, it's a fantastic team that he ended up drafting, I think there might be some more checks for him. I don't think he's going to have as easy of a time as he did last season. I still would pick him as as a favorite to maybe renew his elite status. But also I know that Fetchwell has some fantastic competitive history. So Fetchwell might go ahead with this Rain team and absolutely demolish. I mean, I know it's like I know it's a strategy that people are familiar with, but it does not mean that it isn't fantastic and really hard to get around. So I would say probably I'm still favoring Sock, and I'm still scared of Sock. But if not, I just think we have a fantastic division here. I'll tell you what, I don't think I'm gonna get up there, but I'm gonna give it my damnedest, and I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun regardless. What about
Yeah,
you?
this season's gonna be a lot of blast.
What about you, Nick?
I think before we went into the stream, to be honest, I underestimated Fetch's team a little bit, just because he's only got the one Swift Swim runner. But looking at it, for the most part, a lot of great abusers of Rain, or Pokemon that are like good teammates for the abusers of Rain. When we kind of went into it a little bit, so definitely pretty spooked about that one. I think Clipper's team is pretty well balanced, to be honest. I think there's a lot of scary Pokemon in there and a lot of good synergy to look out for. Obviously, haven't talked to them about their team for the most part, so don't really know what they're thinking. But I know that there's a lot of Pokemon on there that I wanted to draft right next to each other, and I think that portrays like a lot of similar strategies that I was thinking of. So it'll be interesting to see.
All right, so those are our little dark horses, or not dark horses, but like our top picks when it comes to the draft. But I feel like the next stream, I believe the next stream is going to be regarding the schedule whenever we finalize that. I might also do maybe a stream related to the monotype tournament if that becomes like a huge thing. I might just like pop on and analyze that a little bit. But for the most part, definitely for sure, sometime in the next few weeks before January rolls in, and probably before the holidays roll in, I might pop on maybe with Nick to talk about the schedule, and maybe some more in depth look into who we think is going to go far in their respective divisions. Oh, also, do you want to quickly go? I forgot that we didn't. Do you want to quickly go into Division 2 people that maybe drafted the best for you?
I don't have to be scared of any of them because they can't hurt me. They're on the other side of the glass wall we've built, and I can't be hurt by them.
Yeah, there's no way that people can go to the other side of the draft of the glass wall.
I forgot they could do that. As I said that, I forgot they could actually break through and uproot our entire hierarchy and kill me. But if I had a favorite to win in Division 2, I would say I like Reno's team. I don't think there's a huge amount of diversity, but I think it's crazy fast, and I think that's going to be a lot harder to deal with than some people might expect.
Honestly,
so
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of just like speed control and just overwhelming in that sense. So.
Honestly, yeah, I would agree with you. I think Reno has the top chance of getting promoted, but we'll see. I think Kira is also very good. I think everyone just like has a fun little team that they can work on. I think Division 2 will be like a little bit more up in the air when it comes to like I can't like pin down anybody who would definitely get promoted here. I think everyone has a good shot if they play their cards right. But yeah,
division I get to watch and not stress.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I saw a rough Clipper asked for a rough ETA of scheduling. It will be a lot easier this season than it was last season because we don't have to factor in balancing as much because it's like that's why we have the divisions for. So we don't need to be like, all right, we need to balance like this person's schedule, and also we don't need to like we don't really need to pick who goes up against who. I was thinking of having it where we like schedule the first 9 rounds and then we schedule the 10th round after those have passed for like drama. Like who do you get in your final rounds? And it will still be random, but I think it would be kind of fun. But I anyway, yeah, it shouldn't be too long.
Kind of weird though if there's only 10 competitors. I mean, yeah, I guess there's only 9 people you can go to.
Yeah,
that's weird. Are we doing 9 or 10 rounds?
We're doing 10.
Huh.
I believe. I think we should do like
twice.
Yeah, somebody's gonna have somebody twice. I was thinking of doing it where it's like we plan, like we give them the person who like they're up against in the league as their 10th, but I think that'd be a little bit too much. As fun as that sounds.
10th round is a battle royale. We'll do a 10-person match.
So I was thinking
that'll work. Don't think about it.
I was thinking that if like you were going up against each other in like a promotion battle or like a playoff battle, like if you're very close in the standings, then we would give you that person in round 10. But I think that's too much of meddling. It'd kind of make the rest of the season not as meaningful if your last round is just like it kind of cancels it out. But we can figure it out later. Point is that we're gonna probably have a scheduling stream sometime in the next few weeks. And then I'm going to, after the stream is done, go ahead and set up a challenge for the monotype tournament. I'm just going to randomize it. We have 17 people for that, so we're probably going to have some sort of weird buy sort of deal. So some lucky person's going to get a buy. I might make it I might go ahead and make it the weakest defensive type that we have. Gets a bye to kind of help them out a little bit, because I'm pretty sure that's Reno with Rock. Who got Rock? The person with Rock probably has the weaker defensive type. So a crossover match, maybe that'd be fun for round 10. We'll figure out round 10 later. But for now, if Nick doesn't have anything to say, I think we'll end stream.
Yeah, that about does it for our draft review. Hope you guys had fun watching, got some insight into the competition. Whoever, wanted to come on and talk about their teams got the chance. This ran for 3 hours. I don't know what we expected it to run for, but it did run for 3 hours. And if you sat here with us the whole time, we salute you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And also, if you wanted to talk today, or like we're thinking about talking but weren't so sure, we'll have Battle Night streams when the season officially starts. So you can always go on. You can always have your Battle Night streamed, and you can come on and like give your thoughts if you won or lost, regardless. And you'll have a lot more chances to get on and say hi and talk about Pokemon and chill with all of the community, and it'll be fun. But for now, we're gonna say goodbye to all you guys, and until next stream, see ya, and thank you so much for watching.
Good night, guys.